Welcome viewers, Sydney Harbour, 14 March 2020, Heat 1, JJ Giltinan. The Kiwis have arrived, they were in form yesterday. We're looking forward to a rather different Sydney Harbour today, cold, southerly, with sprinkles of rain. I'm Andrew Buckler, with me today on the camera cat, Michael Chittenden, Mark Healy, Joan Fury, Piers Hasgard and John O'Witty operating drone components.
Incorrigible.
Troy's in the park, walking, talking, and in discussion with a couple of the crews. Over to you, Troy.
Thanks, Bucko. I'm standing here with the skipper of Tech 2, Jack McCartney. Jacko, survival of the fittest out there today, it looks like. What are your sort of thoughts? You guys obviously had a pretty nice lead up to the event so far. Been leading a lot of the races, a couple of wins. Does this sort of throw a mix amongst it, or are you sort of been out training in this breeze? What are your thoughts?
I think today is a story of keep it upright, and as a team we've trained a little bit in this, probably not as fresh as this, but with Trent in the bow and my experience, we're feeling pretty good about things.
Beautiful. And obviously a late change overnight with 2 days ago now with the winning group, with Sevi coming back onto the helm. That formidable crew's won a few JJs together. Does that sort of throw an unknown into the fleet for you?
Oh, absolutely. It's great to have them in the fleet. I mean, you want to beat the best, and they've won it more than a few times, I think. So I think it's awesome. And sorry for Herman, of course, but work's important at the moment in this strange old times that we're living in. So, but to have Sevi and the gang back in is great.
Back out of retirement, a bit like Johnny Farnham. Another hit.
Indeed.
And so we've got a pretty strong southerly here.
Yep.
What are your thoughts for the course today? Sort of any areas you'll be extremely concerned about breeze strength-wise?
Look, I think, as I said before, it's all about keeping it upright, so getting off the line clean, getting around the top marks cleanly, and, keeping the mast in the sky. So I think they were talking about shortening the bottom mark, which is a bit of a shame. The southerly's all about that bottom mark area, the double jibe in and getting out of there, but we'll see what I think it is going to be the B course, so it's going to be a pretty short and fast race, I'd say.
And a lot of fleets, I was supposed to be sailing today, a lot of fleets have been called off on the harbour. It's good to see the skiffs going out in this breeze and, no sort of wind strength calls these boats off. What are your thoughts there? Oh,
this is a day of legends. This is the ones that everyone remembers. So,
Troy,
a bit of action, see the boats really light up. I think it's so important. So, I think it's the right decision.
Good on you, Jacko. Have a good day, buddy.
Thanks,
and so that's Jack McCartney, skipper of Tech 2. One of his sponsors is Vycobi. They're all in the Vycobi wet weather gear. Vycobi's our sponsor today, and we're just walking over past these couple of girls and over to another boat here, sponsored by Vycobi. And we've got James Doran, Dozza, come over here. So James Dozza is skipper of Shore and Partners, also sponsored by Vycobi. You got the warm gear on, mate. Looking real nice and tight. You're looking.
It's a cold day here in Sydney. We haven't had one of these for a little while, so it's winds on and rain, and it should be a interesting day out there today.
And I know it's Harry Bethwaite, your main sheet man.
Harry, good old Harry Bethwaite. It's his 30th today, so it'll be
He's
good.
joined the club.
Join the prestigious club.
And as a team together, you guys have sailed together for a while now?
Harry and I have, yeah. So we've got Tim Westwood on his first year with us, but Harry and I we've been together for maybe going on 4 years in the boat. Previously ASCO.
And sailed a bit in these conditions, or not too much?
Yeah, we've done a fair bit of heavy air sailing. Not so much with Tim, but we've had a couple hit-outs this year. Not quite racing. A couple races we've been good in the breeze, so we're looking forward to today.
And obviously with the wind strength, it's about survival a bit today. Is there anything you do differently during the manoeuvres that sort of to keep the boat upright a bit more, a bit cautious in some areas, or do you just go balls to the wall and get it out there?
Your manoeuvres, you generally just sort of take them nice and steady and get through them. But once you're through them, you're going nuts. Like you're really, kind of pushing the boat the whole time. But yeah, you don't need to rush the manoeuvres because they're sort of the sort of manoeuvres that can lead to you capsizing and things like that. So yeah, definitely need to make sure you keep the rig in the sky today.
Good mate, good man.
Thanks.
All right, Jozza, take it easy. Back to you guys.
Well, Troy, just a quick question for you from me. You've just been talking to two of the coolest KMS customers in the 18th skiff fleet, of course, two top heavy weather sailors. Can you smell the fear in the fleet a bit today because it's fresh out there?
Yeah, and it's the first race of this regatta, like yesterday obviously with the invitation race doesn't matter as much, but today is the first day, and the form guide this year, I think, is really wide open. I've got no idea. You know, we haven't seen the Kiwis since they've won the last two. You know, obviously they're going to be extremely strong with the Honda, but we haven't seen many of the Australian teams really dominate. Maybe Tech 2's starting to get a little edge. We've got no idea how winning group's going to go. Those boys are, you know, legends each individually, but they haven't sailed together a lot. And you know, as we said, it's a shame John Winning can't be here this week, but he's probably made the right call and for himself. And you know, Sevy's, I mean, one of the best people you could put into that spot. And to get Scott Babbage back on the boat with Sam Newton, that crew's going to be, especially as the week goes on, I think they'll get stronger. You know, but there's Finport Finance, Keegan York and his team. The Smeg, we've seen them winning races. Noakes has been up there, Sean Langman, Eddie Powys, his boys. So, look, I just can't wait to get underway with this. And we've got a ripper of a day. We're going to see a lot of boats probably not finish today. So, you know, just getting across the finish line is going to be an achievement. As I said, a lot of the other fleets out on the harbour have called off today, and you know, it shows the strength that skiff racing does have, and maybe a little bit of madness to get out there on this harbour on a very fresh day. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Thanks, Troy. And Mark, before they rigged up, I was having a chat with the Tech 2 boys, and just sort of surveying the amount of experience, sort of on a crew by crew basis, in a sense, but. The survey there said Jack McCartney, 11 seasons of OD for the sailing, and that's sufficient, let's say. Charlie
we
White,
can do one more chat
came
with
from
Mika.
49er background, of course. So
You want, boys?
zero seasons, right? But making up for that and augmenting the experience on board, Trent Barnless, as we often talk about, 27.
I'm ready to go with Mika Lane if you want.
Okay. So that's a pretty good handy total.
It is. Like one of the boats that sailed really well yesterday, impressed all of us, was Smeg. They're always good in the fresh stuff as well. Massive experience, 3 good friends and 3 great yachties. Troy, are you anywhere near Smeg? And maybe give us a quick chat with them.
I am. I'm right here with one of my close mates, Mika Lane. Peach is the skipper on Smeg. He's got Pete Harris on board, a couple of good blokes, and Ricky Bridge. Mate, Mika, first race of the JJs. You guys have been having some good form lately. I'm excited about you. How are you feeling?
Good, thanks, Troy. Yeah, we're feeling good today. As you said, I've got 2 pretty good crew with me, which makes me feel safer out there. It should be fun.
And just speaking of safety, I see you got the knife here, mate, and your little flag.
Well, these are the class rules.
It's good.
Got to have them. I've got an extra big one, just in case we have a brawl amongst the crew.
Yeah. And you're a big man, so you need a big knife.
Exactly, I'll need a knife against Pete for sure.
Now, you've done how many JJs, Mika?
I don't know, maybe 8?
Lost count?
Lost count. I've had a few years off in between,
Yeah.
but definitely I started a long time ago.
Yeah. And, you know, out of them all, how does this one compare of your preparation, how it's gone? Do you feel better prepared, underprepared?
Well, we haven't done a day of practice, so that's probably on par with a lot of the years, but I don't think I've ever been able to sail with a boat as fast throughout all the ranges, so
But
that's exciting.
You're quite a good heavy air sort of skipper, I think, Mika, from seeing you keep the thing upright, and you know, so I think you're one to sort of watch today. You've sailed in these conditions a lot. What are your sort of thoughts? Are there any areas on the boat that you focus on getting right on these days more than sort of a lighter air day?
No, not really. I think when we leave the wharf, it's instinct for the 3 of us, and it's just hope for the best, and hopefully we're talking to you at the end of the race.
I'd like to. There's been nothing more that I'd like today, Mika. So good on you, mate. Good to see you out there. All the best for the week coming, and you take it easy. Stay safe today.
Awesome. Thanks, Troy.
Got everything.
Thanks, everyone.
You've remembered everything today?
Yes, and the crew have double-checked all my
Good.
all my systems.
Thanks, Mika. Yeah, Mika's he's got plenty going on in his whole world, and quite often some things can get forgotten about on the rig up. So there's been checks and pre-flight checks left, right, and centre for Mika. He lost a tiller extension a couple of weeks back, forgotten to tape it on, and jib sheets have been rigged wrong. So you know, it's just these things. They're very hard to set up, and to get them right and to get them right week in, week out is crucial. Back to you guys.
Bit of pre-match nerves, possibly, from the Smeg. Yeah, maybe not. Very experienced guys. And I'm just looking at the boat part right now, Jimmy. And look, there's Tech 2, boat we talk about a lot, one of the favourites this series. Just standing around, surveying in quite a relaxed style. They look like they're not too stressed by the conditions.
Bit like the calm before the storm. It's one of those sports where you can't go and do a bit of warm-up before you get into it. Pretty much so once they hit the water, they haven't done any other than a few stretches. Not much else you can do, and then they you're straight into it 1,000,000 miles an hour, and it's you just got to.
Happy if we do Birkenhead Point too, guys.
Just got to stay calm, and that's all you can try and do before you get out there. And
Tommy,
don't let the whole JJ side of it get to you.
Happening.
Yep, we'll put the signage in the background. Yeah. There's no wind here, Christoph.
What do you want in the background?
The signage, try and...
And just as about half the fleet so far have launched, maybe not quite, but the first boat to launch was Kitchen Maker, followed by Yamaha. But in the boat park, we've also still got Honda. That's right.
Honda.
Don't say Yamaha.
Used to be.
I'll try not to do that again. That's a terrible mistake. Sorry, Mr. Honda. Birkenhead Point Marina, one of the newer sponsors, new boats in the fleet. Troy, I think you've got a couple of moment to have a chat with them.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. I've got Tom Anderson here, the skipper of Birkenhead Marina. Tommy, new sponsor of these guys this year. I see they're all out here today to watch you with the Mervac group. Yep. It's great to have them in here. How are your thoughts? You got your brother-in-law sailing with you this year.
Yeah.
Pretty keeping it in the family.
Yeah, keeping it in the family. Elliot Scarley, good new recruit to the 18s, and Tom Arkins as well is new. We've done a little bit of heavy weather training, not a lot. But the boys are pretty confident, and I'm confident today we'll be fine. So pretty excited, actually.
Good on you, mate. And you've been sailing a lot. You guys have been getting out there, I know, midweek, doing a little bit of training here and there.
Yep.
That's helped you, obviously, in the lead-up. What areas have you been working on?
We've, like, heavy weather training, manoeuvres, things like that, just keeping it safe in this sort of breeze. And then in the big rig stuff, really light end, like, roll tacks, roll jives, and then trying to get height and power up the big rig as much as we can. We went out with Coco a few times and really improved there. So
beauty. And as a new dad, Tommy, this is your first JJs as a father. How does is that play into your mind at all? You got a very good wife, obviously, to look after little Harley. Does that play in your mind at all?
No, I've got an amazing wife, and it doesn't affect me. Like, all I can think about is Harley, obviously, and he's fantastic, my little boy. And big thanks to Steph for putting up with the sailing this year. And it's been a little bit challenging, but no more less sleep than any other year with a few hangovers. So we're all good.
Good on you, mate. We'll have a good week this week. Good to see you out here, and good to see Birkenhead Point on your sails and getting involved.
Yeah, cheers.
Back to you guys.
Troy, it feels like you've just found the icy coolest helmsman you could ever possibly talk to. Have you seen anyone looking less cool in the boat park as you wandered around? Can you find someone that looks a bit stressed?
Oh, a bit stressed. Here's Peter Harris. Look, he's just here quickly lifting in. Pete, thoughts stressed. Quickly, coming for another JJ's.
Yes, another. Thought I wouldn't be doing it again, but here I am.
You say it every year. You
I know.
Come back.
I know.
And here you are.
Well, it looks like good breeze, bit of San Fran chill.
Yep. and no yelling out there today, Pete?
Oh, Mika gets a bit animated actually, so I got to keep him in line. That's the bowman's job.
Well, all the best, Pete. Have a good week. There we go, boys. So we're just going to come up to the left this way, boys. You're about to get run over by a boat. As they're all going in, you can see out here now, everyone's getting in the water. Nice and cold day here on Sydney. And that wind chill factor will be up, so everyone will have to make sure they stay warm. But as soon as they start sailing, they heat up pretty quickly, and they'll go from freezing to sweating.
Pretty nice day, really, Troy. The sea's warmer than the air by some considerable margin. The water temperature about 22, 23. The air...
Oh, you should get in, Bucko.
Oh, look, I've been wet enough, mate. You know that. Oh, that's not good on the Smeg there. Wow.
All right, boys. Well, we're going to come and head out to you. So we'll pass it back over to you and see you out on the water.
Copy that.
Yeah, we're just going to ease the camera cat, or Jimmy Bury, our driver, is going to ease the camera cat out of where we are. You can see from the camera in the background, there's the camera cat. As we say goodbye to Troy. Troy, thanks for all your chat in the boat park. And we're going to ease our way out of this because these skiffs in this southerly breeze have all got to do a bear away, which is the hardest manoeuvre almost for the whole day, and they don't need us getting in their way. So Anyway, the camera cat's trying to stay nice and close to these boats to make sure we can get the interviews to the boat park. All our tech taking a bit of a test today on this first wet day of the JJ. Sailors are going to have a massive test with the breeze. Our equipment's going to have a massive test because, well, guess what, it's wet out here. You can see from the picture on the screen, there's a lot of rain, and hopefully we'll try and keep the gear dry, keep the equipment working, and keep you guys having something to watch and something to listen to wherever you are right now.
So just let's talk about the weather a bit, Mark, because this is unusual again for Sydney, isn't it? The air temperature down at 15 degrees. Good little cold front end associated trough came through here this morning with wind speeds up around 40 knots, which is why there was some anxiety in the park and anxiety. The most anxious people here that we should have interviewed with the race committee, let me tell you. And the harbour's empty, and most other clubs have indeed cancelled racing today. But and the weather model's in a bit of divergence, but the sort of wind speed we're expecting for the race, I don't think we'll see more than 25, but one of the private forecasters who advises the club, and obviously they've got a duty of care, etc., did say that there might be a bit of spike later. The models are suggesting that might be after the finish, around 5 o'clock in fact. But as we go out, I went down and had a look on the track about an hour ago, a bit over an hour ago, hour and a half ago now, and the wind speed wasn't really above 20. But I think, you know, the course that we're on today, the wind's going to stay roughly where it is, south-southwest, on the racetrack itself, 15 to 25.
So it's going to be fresh, that's for sure. It might not quite get to the frightening part of the wind scale. It is pretty overcast and pretty grey skies. There is a lot of rain around, so we're going to keep wiping that camera, and hopefully we can get the drone up in the air, but the drone is a little bit gets a little bit unstuck when it gets too wet, but we'll do our very best to bring you all the best shots that we can. Race start, remember, is at 2:45 in just about 25 minutes from now, and at the moment we are expecting the race to start on time.
Yeah, no, and the committee, in a certain sense, Mark, have sort of said to themselves, because of the possibilities of weather, they will try and start on time without any reservation whatsoever. And just walking around the park talking to the guys, Jimmy, you know, I talk with the Tech 2 guys and the Kiwis, and they're all going, we're looking forward to this. This is what we come for, you know. 25 knots of wind. Trent Barnabas in particular, yeah, bring it on. You know?
It just wakes the Trent up when it gets to 20 knots.
That's right, exactly. So, you know, the experienced crews, Mark, you see no sign, I think, of any trepidation whatsoever. Down the back of the fleet, there probably is some.
Well, some boats aren't even sailing today. A couple of the less experienced Queensland boats have probably quite sensibly decided to sit out today, keep the powder dry for tomorrow, which is going to be fresh as well. Today's not the only day you're going to see some exciting skiff sailing. Today and tomorrow, fresh forecast, then currently looking a lot quieter for next week. So we'll enjoy it while we've got it, and we'll try and bring it all to you in the best possible condition we can manage to do that. We're just following Tech 2 out to the start line, still well over 20 minutes till the start, so there's just a chance for a little stretch your hamstrings, stretch your arms, and get back into the flow of things. But when these puffs come in, Bucko, they've got a few teeth in them, haven't they?
Oh, yeah.
Well, we're on right now.
We're feeling the temperature of the air as much as anything else, aren't we, mate? Like, dear. And the other thing you'd note is, the rain's only just sort of settled in a little bit now. It was just slightly showery earlier, which was onshore wind. This wind is no longer onshore, so it's kind of the second part of the trough and front system. Breeze now probably almost 200, 205 compass wind. So it'll be a true run down the harbour towards Manly, and the committee might use not the southerly course, a little variant that they devised this morning, just to slightly reduce the risk down the bottom, where they've shortened up the run by about half a mile. So instead of 2.5 miles to Obelisk, perhaps 2 miles to a mark laid in Chowder Bay, which is the bay preceding Obelisk Bay as you go towards Manly on the western side of the harbour. And the tide's starting to ebb, so the sailing conditions might in fact be pretty pleasant, Mark. Smoothish water, tide, harbour full of water, smoothish water, not too much refraction with this wind direction, and barely a spectator boat to be seen.
Well, those puffs we were talking about, well, you saw it on camera just then, Tech 2 was not even barely too worrying in that little lull, but you could see they had their eyes firmly on the puff, and as the puff came, you saw that massive bear away from Jack, all three on the wire, off they go. I think that's probably going to be the story today, very puffy, and when the puffs come in, they come big, and of course there are going to be some pretty decent shifts in that. We've got some very low cloud, a lot of moisture in the air, classic shifty conditions, but you can see the puffs as clear as night and day as the big dark water approaches. There's one coming soon to Tech 2. Here they go again. Bam, in comes the puff. Wait back, wait out, and off they go again. So boat handling test, as it always is, the fresh stuff, but there's no doubt this is going to be a terrific day's skiff racing. Can't wait for it.
And a nice hunt on the course, and James might take us through that in a minute, but a nice two-sail reach this way. It's a big figure of 8. So sort of a VNG run, the first run, and a two-sail reach back towards the city. Awkward yachting in this sort of stuff.
It's going to be exciting to watch, isn't it? Like, it's be definitely a test of boat handling skill by all.
Now that's Tech 2 just doing a bit of a practice drop, and just to the left of there, we might bring the camera around in a second, you'll see Honda Marine doing just what Bucko described, just testing, checking that two-sail reaching. Honda Marine just flying past Bradley's Point right now. Another click left, there they are. Yep, thanks on the camera, that's a great job, thanks Piers. And there is Honda Marine just showing how you do two-sail reaching with 3 people on the wire, and they're being chased by a slightly predatory ferry, not for the first time, but Honda Marine just getting in the practice time, because Buck, as you said, it's going to be a critical part of the race, isn't it? You can overtake and you can lose places significantly when it on the two-sail reaches.
And these guys were very good at this, at the two-sail.
Yeah, but according to Sue Ellen, they've only done 2 hours of sailing this season, so...
Tell us, Jimmy, just bring us up to date. Tell us who Sue Ellen is for our viewers that don't know, and tell us about the conversation you've had with her.
I had to grab a sick bag when Sue Ellen from Live Sail Die was trying to feed me some bullshit, is the polite way to put it, about how much sailing the Kiwis have not done this year. Sue Ellen, obviously Live Sail Die, last year did that parody movie of them not knowing the front or the back of the boat and so forth. She reckons because they had the 49er and the 49er FX at Royal Akatan that all the guys had to move their boats out of the club and there's nowhere else to sail them in New Zealand, which I find hard to believe. And then she assures me that all they've done is 2.5 hours sailing since the beginning of the season. Which
and out of 10, how much do you believe her?
0.
I'd say you're spot on, your judgment. Yeah. Anyway, we like Sue Ellen. She's adds a bit of colour and flavour to the reporting of the skiff scene, but obviously she's fabulously biased to the Kiwis. And she had a brilliant regatta last year because, of course, it was all about the Kiwis, deservedly walked away with the regatta. But maybe it isn't going to be quite so one-sided this year. And, of course, these conditions, they're fresh enough to cause some degree of upset. It is the kind of day where, Bucker, you've got to have half a thought about gear failure, about keeping the boat together in one piece to live to tell the tale for another day.
Yeah, no, look, I mean, the front of the fleet guys, to a man, you know, are well aware of, let's keep it upright. It's the first 2 races. We need to have a discard up our sleeve for the light air days when we've got 2 races in a day and it's possible to get buried in the start. So I think you'll see some good sailing, but maybe some moderately cautious sailing. And here we are looking at the committee vessel, and they've gone to full course 4. Jimmy, talk
Taronga Zoo, for those that know where the zoo is, go up to a laid mark which they've laid on the right hand side of Clark Island this time, then the run down to Obelisk or maybe into Chowder, as Bucko was just saying, then work their way all the way back up around YA mark at Shark Island. From there, two-sail reach back down to where we are here in Athol Bay, down near the start, back up to Clark Island, back down to Obelisk, back up to Shark Island, down to Athol for the last time where we are, and then finish at Double Bay right in front of the club. So, nice, long, hard day for the boys at the office. And as Bucko alluded, it may change when we're heading down to Obelisk, but at the moment they're just displaying that number 4 pennant, which indicates the southerly course. So we'll work on that as we when we're heading down there. If there's a load mark there, I guess that's what's going on. I know there was a WhatsApp group message went out. I didn't get it, so...
So do we think we maybe try and have a chat with the race officer we can, but does that mean, Jimmy, that a course 4, which we're seeing, you can see on the race committee boat now, does that mean that it's not the shortened version?
No, it's a long version.
It's the full version?
That's the full version.
The other one's called 4/1.
4/1, okay, there we go. So for the moment, it's 4. That might change, because 4/1 is not going to change the position of the race committee boat. So he's got the ability to shorten that effectively. I say shorten, it's just slightly shortening one leg. And the reason for that is as you go further out the harbour, you get more into the influence of the big southerlies. Eventually you get to the heads, and that is a full southerly coming straight through the heads for those of you who aren't familiar with the landmarks of Sydney, and that means it's going to be very gnarly down there. The bottom mark could be a bit of a graveyard. So we'll wait and see. If it's not too fresh, he'll leave it with a full length, and if it is fresh, he'll shorten it.
No, the race officer, experienced that in footer sailor, Dougie, and, his own view is full course if you can, get the race away on time, and his absolute preference was, not to shorten and not to do a windward leeward up this end, which is another option if it was really windy. And it tends to be lighter at this end of the harbour than the other, as we're seeing here.
But Bucko, looking at this first leg, so with the buoy at the moment, the wind mark is laid up by Clark Island, but the breeze is well to the right, isn't it? They're going to have to move that again, I think.
200. I won't bother too much. 200. It won't be a true beat, but that's not.
So it'll be a lot of starboard in this. It's going to be a highly starboard bias first beat up to Clark Island. That's like up to Double Bay for people trying to get their sense of where we are. We're down, as Jimmy said, down by the zoo. First leg back up towards Double Bay, and then it's a left-hand turn, screaming reach down the harbour, and then it gets a little more complex. We won't worry about the rest of it for now. Let's just do the first 2 legs. Too hard to remember all the rest of it.
But I mean, for the viewers, just to try and line it up with the compass, the harbour going to the north where they're going, the compass course to get there is about 020, and the wind now is about, and the wind now probably around 210. So it's vaguely port jibe favoured down the harbour, and big starboard bias on the first beat.
So when you're saying bias, Bucko, just for the viewers that don't know, you're saying that we're going to be pretty crowded down the boat end.
Well, no, that's a separate issue, how the line's laid, but and have they got the pin in? Yes, they have got the pin in. And, I mean, at the moment, the fleet will be racked up at the boat looking at that start line. But, Jimmy, as you'd see, if we sight the wind direction, it's coming directly towards us from Centre Point Tower, isn't it?
Yeah.
In the middle of the CBD, So it's a little bit unusual, but it's an unusual day. 15-degree days in March in Sydney aren't all that common.
Luckily, for anyone who lives here, which 3 of us do, your 3 commentators live in and around Sydney. 15 is a rare thing this time of year. It's a winter temperature, really. Anyway, you can see the picture doesn't lie. The picture tells a 1,000-word story, and the story is grey, overcast, wet, damp, windy, with lots of puffs. But lots of puffs means lots of exciting skiff sailing, so we don't mind the wet and the damp. And wherever you are at home, somewhere, inside probably, maybe you're watching it live, maybe recorded, well, we're going to try and give you the best coverage possible, but we are going to have to be occasionally maybe a little bit clever with what we do with our camera angles and the rain to keep the equipment dry. But we'll leave that to our director, Michael Giltinan, and to a driver, James Beery, to work out what we can and can't do with the camera cap. But now, all systems go. Everything's working beautifully. Race start in exactly 15 minutes from now. Race 1 of the 2020 JJ Giltinan starts with a bang in what is going to be
how much sun cream we could get on. Today we're worrying about how much wet weather gear we can get on.
It's extraordinary. The shift last night was the most stunning 25-degree Sydney evening, was it? It was positively hot. Wake up this morning, big shift. A big shift in conditions.
I did have a dream that Chits rang me this morning and said, don't come in, stay in bed. And I was like, yeah. And then once I did wake up, I went, oh, no, that was a dream, unfortunately.
Look what's happened
But
now.
it is cold. I think we need to get onto the title sponsor winning group to get some little heaters put in the camera cap for us.
Yeah, now you're talking. That would be great. But the conditions today, Bucko, just back from the racing perspective, we mentioned yesterday that this fleet hasn't sailed a lot. The Australians haven't sailed a lot in small rig conditions, any kind of a foam up. Is that going to come back to haunt them a bit today?
No, I think, amongst the the stable combinations, the front half of the fleet, they're all pretty confident about their rig tune. I haven't checked every boat individually, but talking to most of the guys this morning, they are all happy with that their rigs are in a good, happy place. And, these boats going upwind, if the rig... And these guys have all done enough sailing with this rig in that they think that they'll be, calm and comfortable, and they'll be up and down the range without too much trouble. And that was kind of unanimous in the park, amongst, I talked to obviously Tech 2, but also...
They're not going to give you a hat, Bucko. I've already worked that one out with them.
Winning Group, is that right? Winning Group, 4 Pines Royal Oak, just to a man, they were anticipating and looking forward to today, regardless of how much wind there was.
I agree. I've picked up exactly the same. The skiff said is kind of they want this big stuff. It's a test. As I said, it's a proper test of your sailing skills. They want a big challenge on day one. Just talking about the conditions, though, one of the things you've been mentioning as we've come out here is maybe there's not quite as much breeze as the forecast, maybe not quite as much as we thought. And I've noticed at the moment there are 2 boats here with reefs in. Winning Group is one, Kitchen Maker is one. At the moment, and by reef, just to explain to the viewers at home, it's not a massive reef like in a keel boat. It's just, 300, 400 mil kind of drop down maximum. But that's a reduction in luff length, so it's a smaller sail. But you wouldn't want that right now, would you?
No, it's definitely low range. At the moment where we are, it's low range, little rig. At the bottom mark, though, probably, 2 miles down towards the ocean, more or less, it might well be 20 knots. And looking at Tech 2 just sailing away from the committee boat right now, they've actually got a little squall. And the breeze just, we're just on the front side of a small squall here now. The reef will be useful down the bottom of the course, but far less handy up this end of the course. So those guys will get around probably without tipping over. And 12-inch reduction in luff length does make a significant difference, despite it appearing to be quite a small amount. After that, a larger reef tends to be counterproductive because the luff round then doesn't quite fit the mast. You can sort of fudge your way around at a 12-inch, 300mm reef, but much more than that, and it kind of tends to make the mainsail deeper and the rig not work. So yeah.
So but I think too hard to get the reef back out. Is it? Winning Group are not going to be able to do that on the water. So they've got what they've got now.
No, not Winning Group. Be careful. Yandu.
No, Winning Group has got a reef in.
They've got a reef as well.
Yeah, they have.
Winning Group, yeah.
And it's probably the deepest reef I've seen as well. So to get that reef out, it's just too hard on the water, isn't it, Bucko?
Impossible.
Impossible. There you go. That ain't going to happen.
There's no halyard. There's no mechanism.
Right. There we go. So they've got what they've got, and they're going to have to make them. And of course, when the first big gust comes in, they'll be smiling. But in the lulls, they'll be wishing that they maybe hadn't made that decision. Most of the rest of the fleet have not gone with the reefs. It is a class rule. You have to have the ability to reef. Yeah. And so everyone could do it. Only I've just seen Noakes Blue have got a reef in too. I've seen 3 boats so far with reefs in. The rest haven't.
I think, okay, sorry. Yeah, Yandu, Winning Group, and
Kitchen Maker
and the Kitchen Maker, so 4 boats.
And Noakes Blue as
Noakes
well.
Blue.
Yeah, 4 boats.
Yeah, so not that many, the vast majority going at that. Well, we'll wait and see. This breeze is up and down right now. It's just the breeze just gone right up again. You look at Winning Group on camera. There's the reef we're talking about. You can see the top of their mast. There's quite a big gap between the top of the mast and where the sail is.
That's a big reef.
It's the biggest reef we've seen. But right now, there's a big gust coming in. It's fresh. Right now, not a crazy decision at all. When we get lulls, it's a whole different story. Winning Group getting a big cheer from the spectator ferry right alongside us. Got a couple of friends on board that one, that's for sure.
So the front of the score here, and so what you're seeing there, Mark, we're in the front of a good range score here on the camera boat, right near the start line, and it's up above 20 knots now. But Winning Group, with the background and the sort of tech support, they lean pretty hard on what Roger Badham tells them, and he said it will build, right? So conservative basis, and they put a lot of faith in Roger, and rightly so, one would usually say.
Take the intel. You'd take the intel if you can, wouldn't you?
Well, and it's a bit of an art form, but he's the best local artist, shall we say, and but it'll be interesting. But what that tells you is also that they're very conservative, perhaps, about these first 2 races, that they want to get through them without having a bad day, and they're happy to accept possibly a third or a fourth or something like that, which they might expect to get if the breeze is indeed a lot lighter than expected.
And certainly the breeze has got up. It's not just a one-off puff. Certainly since we've been talking the last 10 minutes, there's been a slow increase. The odd big puff, a slow increase. There's definitely more breeze now than there was a few minutes ago. Right now, it's starting to get towards the fresh end of the scale. Certainly little rigs, you'll be right in the middle of the range now, and you might even be getting towards the top end of the range. It's the kind of conditions now that with 8.5 minutes to go to the start, you do not want to capsize. You want to conserve your energy. We just saw Smeg capsize a second ago. That looked like they were fixing a technical issue. Didn't look like a boat handling error. Saw somebody swimming up to the top of the mast, sorting out maybe some kind of a halyard issue. But they are back upright. At the moment, I can see no other capsized boats, which is a very good sign indeed, as we approach just 8 minutes to go until the start of race 1.
Yeah, wow, and it's chilly, Mark.
There's still, I've just been listening to the radio, boys. They're talking about moving that top mark. It's the first top mark, which is laid up near Clark Island, talking about moving it further right.
Yeah, well,
so,
and
which makes sense of what we've been saying.
They should get on with it if they're going to do it.
Wow.
Though, strictly speaking, they can start the race without the mark in the water, can't they? But they need to put the compass bearing on the back of the boat.
Yep, correct, yep. We'll see whether they do that. They want to move that pretty quickly, because you will want to start this race on time, as you said before, Bucko.
Yep.
One of the things that gets these races all inside out is a delay in heavy conditions, and then don't start capsizing, and then all of a sudden you've got a question mark about whether you've got a viable race. But we're not at that stage yet. The conditions are, this is still fresh, but this is fresh and entirely sailable. No question for these skiffs. I know sailing in general has been putting in wind limits. The America's Cups put one in at 23 knots. The 49ers don't sail in, 24 knots, I think it is, they sail in. And increasingly, boats are very safety conscious, which is a great thing, of course. But it's nice that the skiffs, in a forecast 25 knots, are going to go out and race.
Yeah, no, it's a great thing and part of the long tradition. And you know, back in the days of four rigs, they would start irregardless. But, the starter would just go out, the starter would be at 2:30 and off we go.
And you do the best you can. Jimmy, this is, you're going to start on time, do you think?
I think we will start on time. They're just getting an L flag to the boat that Steve Quigley's on, and we're going to, for the first time in I don't know how long, we're actually going to have a lead boat. So I'm pretty certain we're going to have a variance 2, course 4.
I think you'll find they put the mark in the water. Have a look upwind where the rib is.
Yeah. So, we're going to have a lead boat, which is quite interesting.
Just explain what the lead boat does. So what does that mean to the race?
So the lead boat's just a small power boat, and it'll have a code flag L on it, and it'll lead the fleet in the direction of where the first top mark is, because it's not in the traditional spot of to the left of Clark Island. They've put it well to the right of Clark Island, which is fine. But what they're going to do, they're just going to have a lead boat, so the boats don't go to traditionally where they'd normally go. They actually go where the mark is. So
how many of the fleet do you think are going to be all over that rule, and who's going to be wondering what's going on?
I'm guessing the ones that read their rule book might know what that means, but we could be in for a little interesting argument in the bar, I guess, tonight. So, and then, but no, it'll be good, and they're just moving the start boat back.
Yeah, trying to get that line a little bit more square, way too much starboard end committee about bias, but they'll sort that out. And the other reason to having a lead boat, I think too, Jimmy, is the visibility is pretty poor, isn't it? So actually, to spot the top mark from in this visibility is not easy, and we can probably just do it. We're on a slightly higher platform, we're a bit more stable than the skiffs are, and I can only just pick it out every now and then. Easy to miss it.
Today, I mean, on the skiff with your eyes full of water, it's pretty difficult. There we go.
Way on time.
Starter's orders. That was your 5-minute gun. 5 red flags up. The committee boat are multitasking. They're dropping the anchor back, squaring the line, about to put up an L flag, and firing off the gun. Good job by the Skip committee.
They're a very determined mob, so let's see. Huh?
They were just one little boat, Del Zotto, were capsized. They're back up right now. They look fine. There's John Winning on Yandu with a reef in as well, going across your screen. One thing we know about John Winning, he loves the fresh stuff. One of the best sailors in the heavy airs, and he'll be probably relishing this. He'll be right up for a big fresh day.
Mark, a very long time ago, we had a race on the harbour, not a heat of the Giltinan, just a club championship race. I was sailing with Ian Murray and Don Buckley on the Colour 7, and John Winning was sailing, I think, with Peter Gardner and Grant Pollitt, Pacific Harbour, Fiji. The harbour was closed officially, and we were the last 2 boats standing. We actually the only boat to finish. John broke something.
4 minutes.
But we had an epic sail in about 40 knots of wind.
I hope we don't get 40 today, just because I'm not sure these boats are going to necessarily survive 40. But the odd puff of 30, I think we are going to get, and I think that's fine. These boats will manage that. 1 or 2 won't, of course, but handling the adversity is, of course, part of the sport. So we're inside 4 minutes now for race 1. Quite a lot of traffic down here. A few spectator boats for our fleet, a few other just random boats on the harbour. I don't know what they're doing out in the day like today. They've obviously got lost. They'll be going home. It's too wet and too windy.
Mark, just watching Del Zotto go past us. They're going for a different style of reef. I think when they capsize, someone's gone through the mainsail.
The damage on that mainsail on Del Zotto, that is not repairable, and that is not... Well, they might just got the first beat to see what happens, I guess, and maybe just thinking, get round, score a result. Better than a do not finish. Out off the committee boat to the right of our shot, I've just seen Noakes Blue capsizing. So there's a little bit of capsize action going on here. I don't want to overemphasize. It's not that windy. What is it, like 20 knots now with occasional puffs?
Not even really.
Not even, no. It's manageable. Very manageable. There's
Del Zotto on screen as we're talking.
A nice, stable, rain-influenced 18 knots, Mark. Yeah. That's the description officially.
That's right. Do you think, from a sail-making perspective, Bucko, Del Zotto's mainsail tear, can that hold together for the rest of this race?
Yeah, no, it can hold.
Battens will support it, all right?
No, it's not the low. It's in the low load part of the sail.
So they'll give it a go.
They'll give it a go. Yep.
Excellent. Well, 3 minutes, 30 seconds to go. So
just have to sail without too much cunning in my eye on it, mate.
2 minutes 30. So correction.
Yeah, and I think you'll see some pretty conservative sailing here through the start process.
Well, the key to today, Bucko, is just get around the course, right?
Yep.
If you can get around the course, you're going to get a good result today. There's going to be a lot of people not finish.
Keep the black thing up and the white thing down.
That is right. So that was the 2 minute gun. It was not a gun. The 2 minute flag just went up just then. So if you're watching us live, wherever you are in Sydney, or on a friendly time zone somewhere around the world, or maybe not, maybe get up in the middle of the night to watch this, because the JJ is a special event. Once a year it happens, is always worth tuning in for. So if you've done that, well, the time on Sydney Harbour is coming up to 2:45 in the afternoon, and we have got 1 minute 30 until the start of race 1. The whole fleet is racked up behind us, as you can see on camera, through the rain, through the murk. They're all looking for this, and the starboard end of the line looks like the place you'd want to be. They're hanging a fair bit back to the line, I'd say. At the moment, Bucko looking quite conservative with 1 minute 15 to go.
No. I think you'll see not too much risk taken by anybody here. Because it is, good pressure. They know that it's a bit of an endurance test, this course, and it's the first heat. So let's not have an accident foremost in their minds. So that's 1 minute.
Just 1 minute. No one showing any interest to go down the pin end. There's a long, long way away, that pin end. Everyone is up at the committee boat end. You can see the fleet here. Everyone is way inside the ley line for the starboard ley line, so they're going to have to all push themselves forwards and down to the other end of the line a little bit. Tech 2 lining up in as the most left-hand boat right now, maybe looking to have that very conservative start. Nobody wants to get locked out on start number 1 of the JJ, that's for sure. Got just 30 seconds to go. It's a super conservative start. A lot of this fleet are going to be like 20 seconds late. Tech 2, though, are not going to be late. They're going to be middle of the line, middle left. They're going to be bang on time. They're actually getting close to the line now, but with 15 seconds to go. URM in a very strong position up here at the committee boat. Honda Marine slightly vulnerable inside them. They're inside the lay, but I recken that depends what Marcus Ashley-Jones chooses to do.
They'd mark a bit too much of a rack up at the windward end here.
Tech 2 early, though. Tech 2 looked early to me. We've still got another 2 seconds to go. Whoa. Yep. I reckon there could be a recall on that. But we weren't actually in line, to be fair. We weren't in line.
Oh well.
That's a surprise. General recall. That looked like they could have spotted who was over there.
There's quite a few down the leeward end.
Jimmy, how did you see that one?
Yeah, there was quite a few, like behind Bird and Bear and so forth. There was a few down that way that were over that the starter wouldn't have been able to see.
And Tech 2 was certainly one of those.
Definitely.
I was surprised they went so early. They actually, with 30 seconds to go, had pretty much the whole line to themselves. Everyone else was holding back. Maybe there were just too many boats to leeward that they
the other thing to take into consideration, Mark, as we talked about previously, they've got the Velocitex on their boom where they ping the line. So, and the start boat's been letting itself back and back, and they haven't noticed that. So that could also play into it if they're telemetry's not correct on board their
Good
boat.
point. Very good point. I don't know whether they did see the adjustment, but the adjustment for the committee boat was very late.
Yes.
As in the 5-minute gun was being fired as he was dropping back.
Yeah.
So that might well have caused the problem. But anyway, the story bring you right up to date. That was a general recall for race 1. We're going to go right back into another start.
Jimmy, am I dreaming? But I reckon the pin mark's drifted as well. Look how close it is to the headland.
I think you're right, Bucko.
Yeah. And the
It was
tide
out
is
here
ebbing.
before. It was
Yeah,
sort of like
exactly,
in line with Point Piper.
Exactly. So I think there's an issue with the line's still too biased to the committee boat end. I suspect that the pin has moved.
Well, that just makes it more biased if it's drifting that way, right, Bucko?
Exactly. The pin goes from unattractive to impossible to get to.
Yeah.
Never going to be any boats down there in the line, as you saw from that attempt at start 1. So keen as the committee are and the fleet are to get this first race underway, well, that was never quite going to work, so they're going to have to sort out that pin end, get this line a little bit more square. But I know this committee are keen to get things going. Well, and as I say that, down comes the recall flag. We're going to be into a 5-minute gun very soon indeed.
And also to note, Bucko, the historic 18s aren't sailing today, but they've got their spectator ferry out from the Sydney Flying Squadron to come watch.
Well, Jimmy, I can tell you this.
Gentleman's call.
My friends from the historic fleet did ring and say, what do you reckon? We're not going to sail. What if we divert our ferry to the modern race today? Are you going to sail? And I said, well, the camera cat's out and the fleet will be racing.
Nice job.
Well done, Bucko. That's nice to see the Historics spectators out here.
That's right.
The Historics usually race in anything, don't they? So they must have just seen something in the forecast we didn't see.
Not enough rescue boats, Mark, in a certain sense.
Yeah,
Well, they
take
use
a lot of writing, don't they, those boats?
They use a lot of our boats. They use the
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
because they
ripple
race
side
alternate
and-
days on the
yeah.
harbour traditionally, don't they? So that's what happens. You might have heard in the background amongst the noise, there was the gun. That's a 5-minute gun. We're back under starters' orders for race number 1.
Yeah.
There's the historic spectator boat, so you should look at on screen right now. A lot of people looking warm and dry and cosy in there. Lucky them. I'm not sure they're drinking beer, maybe hot cups of tea and mugs of soup today.
You got the raw end of the stick, didn't you, Bucko?
Yeah.
But I'm sure Susie would be on there. She's a
Fan.
absolute big fan. So Susie Conway, g'day.
So 4-minute gun in about 20 seconds if you want to set your watches at home, so you know exactly what's going on.
I'd like to be at home, Mark. It's bloody freezing.
You say that, look, it's going to be great to be here. We might get a little damp, we might get a little cool, but we are in the best seat in the house to watch some of the best
Mark,
racing.
let me tell you this, more rain and more wind just coming down the bay now. So
Yeah.
it's about to get wetter before it gets any drier.
There's the 4-minute gun. 4 minutes to the start. What do you reckon about that pin, Jimmy? Has it moved at all? What's the story on the line? I can see a rib down there. I'm not sure if it's what it's doing, but the committee boat hasn't moved.
There's been no chat on the radio, so it's been hard to figure out what's going on with it, mate. But they have moved it, according to the little voice down the back of the boat, being Troy.
Happy days.
So Troy's jumped on from on the beach. He's jumped on here just to be our drone observer.
Excellent.
If we do get it up,
Well, yeah,
not
we
likely
get
at
it
the
up.
moment with the rain.
We get it up, will we get it down? Will we get it down where it's supposed to come down? Not sure about that, we'll see. There's a Shaw and Partners. Shaw and Partners, it's James Doran, the guy, he got a bad back yesterday. He looked a little less sore today, and Troy had a chat with him earlier on. He sounded in reasonable spirits. He always goes well on the fresh stuff, Jimmy, doesn't he? He likes the, James, he loves a bit of freshness.
Oh, he loves it. Like, I remember sailing with him a while back in the 16s, and yeah, no fear in sending it. It's just whether Harry and Tim can hang on to how wild he is on the helm. So
yeah, they look up for it. I think they're going to be good. I'm looking forward to them. They could be good today. Smeg, I'm expecting good things of. We haven't talked about the form guide today, but you know I'm not going to let you get away with it. Bucko, just what's your thoughts? Who's going to be in there today?
I think you'll see Honda at the front of the fleet with Tech 2. You know, I think the favourites will rise.
Even in these fairly extreme conditions.
Yeah. Oh, it's very light in New Zealand on an average day.
It doesn't feel like Auckland, I know what you mean. I'm sure our friends are over the Tasman. If you're watching from New Zealand right now, keep an eye on your Kiwi fleet. Yeah, this might be a little bit familiar to you, these conditions. Although the water's way too warm to be in Auckland.
Yeah, no, that is right. That is right. I did have a chat with Sevi in the park before, and he just talking with him about lining up against Honda during the race yesterday, and he said he thought that they were faster until Sevi did some rig adjustments on their boat and just softened the top of their rig a bit, and then he said he thought they were equal, absolutely equal.
Interesting.
So, interesting, and in past years, we have seen Honda with a speed advantage. So
that's for sure. We'll see if that happens in these conditions, but certainly last year, on the few occasions it got a bit fresh, that was the only time they didn't look to have a big advantage. They still had they were never slow for sure, but they're really big advantage with the light to medium. Today, there's nothing light to medium about this day whatsoever. 1 minute, 30 seconds to go. The second attempt to start race 1 of the JJ. And you can see behind us the fleet racking up again. They don't look like they're going to be early. They're all looking a little bit conservative again. No one down the pin end of the line at all. That could be an opportunity for someone looking to make a clean, simple start just to get clear air.
Yeah, but Mark, the line is now usable, I think. You know, they moved the pin up about 100 metres, or more or less 100 metres.
It was back to where it was originally put in the water, I think, Bucko.
Yeah, so it's not drifting, it's not a bad place to go. Down the left end of the line, the only people having a look at it are CTEC, Alex Veiling from New Zealand, and we've got Sean Langman from Noakes, he's down there as well. Plancers online, having a little look at it. Up at this end of the line, the boats that are trying to end up in the hard right. Well, there's Royal Oak, there's SMEG, URM, Honda Marine, of course, and Tech 2 are well up to the committee boat end. They're well inside the starboard ley line, so they're going to need the whole fleet to shuffle in front to make a space, unless they are happy to start hard right and late, which might not be a terrible strategy today. Hard late, hard right, and a little late just might work. Just coming up to 15 seconds to the start. Plenty of boats pushing towards the middle of the line. This end of the line, Bucko, what are you seeing?
No, I think the line's pretty good. And Tech 2 certainly working very hard at owning the boat, and they're in a bit of danger here.
Yeah, they're in a fair bit of danger, but the space has come to leeward. There's the gun, they've fired that away, bang on time. Tech 2 in the end have actually got plenty of space. They're hard right, they are a little bit late, but they're going to get away with that.
That won't worry them at all.
Ilve having to slow down to get a space in there, as a Maersk line down at this end of the line. But all the rest of the fleet are away. Rag and Famish making a great start at the committee boat in the line. Winning Group in the middle, Finport in the middle, looking pretty good shape. Certainly Tech 2 not winning that start by any means. They're a long way back, but they are in the hard right. They have got clear air. You can see them in the middle of the camera right now. They're just going to have to try and hold a lane on Birkenhead Point Marina. No way Tech 2 can tack away at this point. They've got Kitchen Maker too close to them. But I tell you what, who did make a nice start out of all that is Honda Marine. They started in the middle of the line. As I just said that, yeah, Tech 2 did manage to tack away. They got just enough space. So Tech 2 have tacked away. They're already hard right. They're going to go all the way to the right-hand side of the beat for clear air. The middle of the line, our leader is Honda Marine, with Rag and Famish just up to windward in decent shape. URM and SMEG also in close company. And down to leeward of them, it's Finport and Winning Group. And I know it's early days here, Bucko, but Winning Group looking to, they might be struggling for pace. Maybe that reef is not paying at this point, as we're in, what is this, a bit of a lull? Not a great one, but maybe a bit of a lull.
No, the front of the score was fresh as usual, and the back, we're in the middle of the rain right now, and a bit more coming, but wind speed now here down below about 16. So not reefing the mainsail weather, and anybody with a reefing will be struggling here.
And Jimmy, tell us about the L flag boat. What's going on?
Well, he's heading directly to the mark, and I'm just looking down the fleet here on screen, and CTEC seems to be going to where the mark is normally traditionally laid. He's footing off quite a fair bit there, so I don't think he's seen the L flag.
So that's the boat hard left. You can see in the middle of your camera. That's CTEC Marine, Alex Veilings. Honda Marine just tacking now. They are well aware of the fact that that's not where the mark is, so they're tacking out. I think they're pretty much the leader of the group in the middle. That's Honda Marine going off to the right. Maybe they're keeping half an eye on where Tech 2 have gone to, out to the right. But the best boats in the left right now is Sean Langman on Noakes Red, Appliances Online, and Vet Heritage on Noakes Blue. Bird and Bear, Winning Group and Finport, they're all on the screen, you can see them. That is the most left-hand group right in front of you right now. But they're all going to have to get out of this corner, follow the rib with the L flag, because the mark is off to the right. It's not far away from where Sean Langman, who's tacked just now, top of your picture. He's only about 2 minutes sailing on port tack. It could still come good from the left end of the line. Plenty of breeze on us right now. Breeze has gone up a couple of knots. Bucko, what's happening on the right side of the beat? Who's looking good?
Well, Honda has crossed 4 Pines, so the leading group from the left side, the right side, Honda, 4 Pines, Tech 2, and Dragon Famish. And not that windy, but Honda leads.
Well, Honda were the best out of the middle, had a cracking start, and they've conservatively gone over the right a little bit and taken up position on that starboard ley line. And we are just following on the leaders of the port hand side. There's Noakes Blue, Noakes Red. Don't often see the two Noakes boats together. Yvette Heritage, plenty of speed today. Look at that, she's just pushing away from Noakes Red and sailing higher. She's going to cross a whole bunch of starboard tackers. Noakes Blue with Yvette skippering, the only female skipper in the fleet. Currently looking like she might be leading the fleet. She's a big lefty. She's going to cross Honda. I think Noakes Blue are the leader in the fleet.
She's going to cross them.
New leader. And
Call the race off now for a bit.
Well, it was a big moment in skiff racing. It's a long time since we had a top female skipper. Adrian Cahalan is the last one who's truly competitive, but Yvette's been nibbling away at this fleet. Well, a long way to go in this race, but it would be awesome if she could be first, the top mark in race 1. Let's see how well they can tack. The two Noakes boats go simultaneously. Not sure they're going to lay. It's so shifty, anything could happen here.
It's pretty hard right. I think they'll be pretty good, Mark.
I think we may have a different leader up here, boys.
And the guys that have come from the hard left have come with some new pressure.
These guys are overlaying. This is going to be all on at the top mark. Winning group and Finport coming out of the left with a great local lefty with the two Noakes boats full two-sail reaching flat out here at a righty. Big port starboard issue coming here between Noakes and Finport. Oh, that looked pretty average from Finport. Winning group in all sorts of issues there. There's going to be a big port starboard call there. Oh! Noakes Red go around the outside. Winning group have got a boat up their inside. Noakes Blue around the outside as well. Bucko, how did you see that incident?
It was all a bit much risk-taking for me, mate. Yeah, I don't know if there's an infringement there, but Winning group certainly pushed their luck pretty hard.
And at the end of all that, Honda Marine, who were definitely leading halfway up the beat, go around probably in 10th. Honda Marine do a jibe set to get out of the way. Tech 2 are behind Honda Marine, so our two favourite boats are outside the top 10. And in the end, the boat to the first mark, depending how you read the rule book, was either Winning Group or Noakes Red.
So what we see here also, Tech 2 just delaying the hoist a bit, they just took a moment to sort of apprise themselves of the situation, because they will have to jibe on the port. They want to have a lane, and they've got one now by the look of that. But there's no certainty of them being able to, in fact, to jibe.
It's pretty fresh, isn't it? Everybody's just trying to kind of calm themselves down. It was a pretty frenetic first mark rounding. Dalzotto have retired. They're off to the right-hand side of your camera picture. That mainsail damage obviously too big an issue. Noakes Red jibed up. They're going to the right-hand side of this run, looking downwind. Honda Marine, as we mentioned, were the early jibe setters. So they are out to the left-hand side of this run again as you look downwind. But a long, long way to go here. This is a proper VMG run, isn't it, Bucko? We weren't expecting this.
No. We did say pretty much VMG run. The breeze, around 200, 210, and of course that's just about 02. So almost a perfect VMG run down to Omelette. And Noakes leads out of all that fairly readily.
Yeah, Noakes were first or second round that top mark, and they took the slightly conservative route, just fairway set, went all the way to the island, jibed away, and that low lane they're in now is looking very nice indeed. And we're looking at Tech 2, who are probably lying in about 10th position at the moment, with C-Tech just slightly in front of them, and Finport, the next one forward. But the leaders on the water right now, well, it's the two Noakes Marine boats still. I've got Noakes Red, Noakes Blue, maybe actually Honda Marine are now coming over to the left-hand side of the starboard. They're going to cross Noakes Blue. But I don't think anyone's going to get to Sean Langman on Noakes Red. Front of the fleet, it's all going to have to jibe off Bradley's before they head further out down the harbour.
Beautiful conditions though, Mark. The water pretty smooth. Not it's raining, but the wind's good, solid, sort of 16, 18, 20. And smooth water with the ebb tide.
Here we go. We're just going to let these boats just pass in front of us. We've got URM and Noakes Blue And you can see, if you look into the top of your picture, there's our leader, Notes Red, in very, very close with Honda Marine and Winning Group. That's our top three. Sean Partners just back behind them as well. Tech 2 going hard left down this run to try and create some leverage. They're a little bit stuck in the pack at the moment, struggling to find any kind of clear air.
Breeze still, you know, wiggling around quite a bit. And we see now Tech 2, not on screen, but down on the headland in a header, starboard jibe header. These other guys here are lifted on starboard. So I think there's a pretty good gain here to Tech 2.
I agree, huge gain to Tech 2 on the left. It's very shifty, Bucko, isn't it? Every time you look left and right, you seem to see somebody with more breeze and some kind of a shift. Port starboard coming up here, Tech 2 got one on starboard. They're just going to let Sean Partners cross them, minimise the drama, but a huge gain for Jack McCartney on Tech 2 here. He's right back into the leading group from being outside the top 10. And if you look to the right, you'll just start to see off to the right of Tech 2, there is the leading group right in front of you. There's Honda Marine, Notes Red and Winning Group. That's our leading threesome. And we have Tech 2 looking to join them. And of course, Sean Partners, you saw just a second ago, crossing Tech 2 on port. They are looking the best of the boats on the left. In fact, they're all by themselves on the left. I think Jack McCartney liked the look of that. He's going to join them, Bucko.
Amazing. My goodness. So Tech 2 put it all on the red and came up front, so now they're putting it all on the red again.
There's a bit of gambling, isn't there? I think we saw Honda Marine doing that last year, taking a few gambles, going whichever way they wanted to, ignoring the rest of the fleet. Tech 2 look like they're doing it. So we're heading downwind in a north-easterly direction down the harbour to try and give you everyone at home a sense of where we're going here. The harbour is unusually empty because it's such a grey, wet day, and we have Honda Marine on camera. They are pretty much in the middle of the harbour. Off to the right is Notes Red and Winning Group, and off to the left is Tech 2 and Sean Partners. But the spread between our leading boats is significant, and only one of these courses is going to pay out.
Well, just looking at it, you know, the western side looks as if it has paid. It looks like there's more wind there. Tech 2 sailing lower and faster than Honda Marine, so closing the gap further as we watch.
And Sean Partners as well, even harder, they look pretty good shape too.
Yeah, he might be too close to the shoreline though.
Yeah, that is true. So at this stage, it looks like the leading group have become the left-hand peloton, the mini peloton. And you can see on camera, a great camera shot we've got for you here, considering the conditions. Yeah, it looks like it's a beautiful day in Sydney Harbour. I promise you it's not. Honda Marine, our current champion, come to defend their title here on Sydney Harbour, showing us a little bit of airtime there. Honda Marine, the leeward of the three, hard into the shore. There is Sean Partners with the red spinnaker, and in the middle of the sandwich, that is Tech 2 also with the red spinnaker. That looks like our leading group. Is it? I think it's just better pressure, isn't it, Bucko? They've just got more fast forward here.
Well, you know, in the drone, you know, really. Jimmy, if we hadn't seen this live, I wouldn't have believed it.
No.
You know, Tech 2 was not even big fleet at the first mark, and they're now nearly in the lead. Oh, and now Honda Marine port and started with Sean Partners.
Just a little strategic luff, a little rag, just to make sure that Sean Partners can cross them cleanly. So Honda Marine don't want to jibe, they like the way they're going, and the rest of the fleet coming this way. Winning Group, who are the best of the right-hand boats looking downwind, they've seen the damage being done to them by this left-hand group, and they're crossing over this way as well, as is Notes Red, as are URM and Royal Oak.
Jimmy, you might see the Memo to Doro, kind of jibe, brother. Oh, here we go.
He's coming back, mate. Don't panic.
Wow, what a race, eh?
Tech 2 and Honda Marine within a boat length of each other. Only a few minutes ago we were saying that Tech 2 were outside the top 10. We had a top 3 of Honda, Notes and Winning Group, and it's all changed in the course of just 5 or 6 minutes sailing. Admittedly flat out sailing, free wiring, skiff sailing at its best, flat chat downwind. Some pretty significant skills. Some pretty significant skills from these skiff sailors. We've just got boats flying past us on all sides. Here comes the Winning Group flying down, flying past us on the leeward side. That's a nice close shot. There's Steve, Sebi Jarvin, at the back of the boat. Scott Babbage in the middle and Sammy Newton in the bow. With that big reef in, probably not enjoying having that reef, but they're keeping in amongst this group, the leading group for now. They definitely didn't choose the right side of the run.
So quite strange here, Mark. Not on shot. Looks to me like Honda's overstood the bottom mark here.
I think you're right. They went hard right downwind and too far.
Tech 2's on a hot lay. Shaw is on a very hot lay. Notes is probably in the right place. URM needs to guide, but if only they knew quite how far around the wind was.
URM looking pretty tidy today. I know I talked to Marcus before the race. He couldn't be more excited about racing in a big foam up. He was like, bring it on. The more breeze, the better. He loves the offshore gnarly stuff. And Marcus at the moment fulfilling that promise. And Yvette Heritage on Noakes Blue staying right in this race as well. No lack of pace from her in this fresh stuff. Smeg not quite performing as we thought they would do, but they had a pretty awful first beat, got the wrong side of a couple of shifts at the top mark, and they went round the first woman mark deep in the heavy teens. So a lot of work for them to do. I expect to see them to come through the fleet. But for now, back at the front of the fleet, it is Tech 2 and Shaw and Partners. There won't be an awful lot between those two boats. And then it's Honda Marine. Look like they might be struggling to get the height to get up to the mark. And it's Noakes Red.
I think our leader might be Noakes Red at this
no,
mark.
Noakes is leading easily, mate.
I know, you're right.
Yep.
Actually, all of our leading boats, apart from Noakes, are well outside the ley line. They're not getting up to it, basically. Extra puffs come down here. The breeze headed them a tiny bit, and now they're all going to two-sail reach into this mark and challenge all of its own.
No, Shaw and Partners might get there. Might be quick enough. They've done a good drop.
Great drop on Shaw and Partners, eh, Bucko?
And now, that was marvellous. So now it's tricky for them. A two-sail guide with a bit of seaway coming in from the Tasman Sea.
And they're not going to stay upright here, are they? The whole fleet won't stay upright, that's for sure. Tech 2 also did, by the way, a fantastic drop too. Here goes Noakes Red, and there's Honda Marine. They've done their drop. Now they've got to get the two-sail reaching skills going. We're in a perfect position to watch the drama unfold at the bottom mark for the first time. Here comes the first boat in. Race 1, bottom mark for the first time. The leader, Shaw and Partners. There they go, degree of difficulty extremely high. They made that look pretty good. Nice work by Doro. Second one in, it's Jack McCartney. Not quite as smooth, but the boat's still upright, and that's good enough. Second round, Tech 2. Third round is going to look like it's going to be Noakes, and Honda going to put them under some pressure. Winning group keeping it just tidy enough, but Sam Newton having a problem getting his spinnaker. You can just see in the distance that is Sam Newton struggling to get the winning group tight down. They've got some kind of an issue. Now it finally comes down. And in third position was Noakes Red. Fourth position there is Honda Marine, and then it's winning group very closely followed by URM. No one has managed to get the spinnaker ley line correct. Everybody's having to drop and then two-sail reach.
How about some of them, Mark? Some of them are down near the Sound and Pigs. That's how far they got it wrong.
They got it that wrong, like so wrong. I'm looking at Alex Bailey on SeaTac, miles away from the ley line. But it all gets a bit exciting going down the harbour at 20 knots of the kite up, doesn't it? You can easily lose your bearings. So winning group, make a nice tight rounding well inside URM.
And we're about to see some swims here.
Oh yeah, looking upwind, look at all those boats half capsized to windward. Suddenly there's a lull, there's a great big gust coming behind. That could give them a bit of a wake-up call.
A big bit of wind coming down the middle of the harbour. Tech 2 narrow escape from Ilby coming downwind.
Yeah.
Kitchen maker nearly in the drink.
They got a crew member off the boat. Just climb back on, Bucko.
And Smeg's done extremely well out of that. They were deep in the teens. They've played a blinder on this run. They're not in the leading group, but they're probably the best of the rest.
It looks like Maersk and Kitchen Maker are tangled. Just looking up there.
So just a bunch of carnage in the middle of the fleet here, Jimmy. It's just a lack of breeze, is it, followed by a gust?
I'm not sure what happened there.
It was very fresh and the breeze lifted off.
Right.
Just under the hillside. Breeze far enough in the right that we've got a windward shore now. The wind's getting substantially affected by the shore.
Whoa! Wow. That's Smeg and Rag jibing inside the mark. Oh, we've got a bit of action here as well. That's SeaTac having a little look at our bow. We've got Ilve inside us as well. They're going to have to drive probably around the back of us. I imagine would be their safest manoeuvre. Finport's going for a swim. Birkenhead Point Marina going for a swim. It's got awfully fresh down here. This is the graveyard slot, the leeward end. Always going to happen. It's always going to be tough down here. There's a seaway too, Bucko, isn't there? A nasty old seaway here. Big puffs, and it's shifty. Really big boat handling challenge.
It was pretty impressive though. The top 8 boats got round there perfectly, or more or less perfectly. And then the next 10, most of them were...
Bought the entertainment.
Yeah.
And that's 4 boats capsized at the leeward mark, and a couple of boats capsized before they got to the leeward mark. Kitchen Maker, we're just going past right now. Just looking at SeaTac on camera, and there's the rest of the fleet all going upwind on starboard. in some reasonably fresh stuff. Well, at that first beat, Bucko, it wasn't a lot about boat speed, it's just about managing those shifts, wasn't it?
It was amazing, amazing.
But this is a long drag speed upwind test. We're now going to see who's got the wheels and the fresh stuff.
Yeah, no, this is a good straight line drag race. Starboard tack nearly on the way up to the top mark. That's how far right the breeze has gone. So this is further right than the prediction of the weather models. Suggests that something is happening. Don't know what, because there's no low pressure cell. This is just perhaps the second part of the cold front proper. Certainly the air temperature's, you know, no warmer than it was. But Mark, people pay money for rain this pure that's come from the Southern Ocean, mate.
That is right. It's pretty choppy now. If everyone has lost spectator boats, this chop has just been kicked up by the breeze, by a little bit of tide, and reasonably rough conditions for skiffs. Probably solid 20 knots, puffs into the 22s, which is quite a nice, manageable, but makes it challenging when you turn a corner, like we just saw down at that bottom mark. But let's bring you up to date with what's happening with our leaders. You look at winning group, but they're not leading. The leader is still Sean Partners, who were first round that bottom mark, and then it's Tech 2 who are following them. They've got a little bit of extra height on inside Sean Partners. Everybody's still on starboard tack. So first place is Sean Partners, second place is Tech 2, and then it's Notes Red and Honda Marine in a third, fourth battle. Notes Red showing they got a little bit more forward speed than Honda Marine right now, and then behind them it is Winning Group and URM. That's your top 6. The next boat's back, so you might be following some other boats specifically. Notes Blue, and then there's Yandu, and then Royal Oak and Smeg. That is, and the Planters Online rounds out about our top 12 or so, but there's some pretty big gaps between all these boats. It's just the leaders that look a little bit settled. A lot to play for in the middle of the fleet.
Awesome. But looking at these guys, a big battle here. Noakes holding their own at the moment. The gap to the leaders is about 20, 30 seconds, something like that. So it's still a yacht race. This group of 4, though, Mark, have got a good little gap on the next 2.
Yeah, they have. And we're just looking here at Honda Marine left of your picture, and that's Notes Red, Sean Langman on the right of your picture. These 2 boats are currently lying in 3rd and 4th place. And we'll see what happens as they all go here into Nielsen Park. And they're going to have to tack out. Sean Partners looking pretty comfortable in the lead. You mentioned Jimmy, James Doran likes the fresh stuff. He's not just liking the boat handling, he's looking pretty quick too.
Mate, he's looking very slick through the water today, and I don't know whether he just wants to get back and have a birthday beer with Harry and try and warm up.
But Mark, you know, I think for the front 4 or 5 boats, I think they'd be happy to have got round the bottom corner the first time.
100%.
Without accident, you know.
You are completely right. There'll be a degree of relief just to get away from the carnage without any crashes and bangs.
Yeah.
But the course, just see what happens. They go around Shark Island here, Bucko, don't they? Then it's another screaming, well, it's going to be a 2-sail, maybe a little bit of spinnakers. There's a really big boat handling test coming pretty soon here.
Yeah, a mile and a half of 2-sail reaching, mate, no shoot.
Beautiful, I'm looking forward to that. That's about as hard as it gets. Our leaders are on screen right now. Into Nielsen Beach, the breeze has gone back left. Previously they were lifting above this headland towards Shark Island, not anymore, but there's Sean Partners inside them, and just behind is Tech 2. The boats 3 and 4, that's Honda Marine and Noakes Red, they've both tacked off on port, and they found that Winning Group in the meantime have managed to find their own little private right-hand shift. They're windward of those 2, so Winning Group have now moved themselves into 3rd on the water. Not by a lot, but just in very close company with Honda Marine and Noakes Red, who are literally just a boat length apart, glued together, those 2 boats. We'll get a picture of those in a second. For now, we're just concentrating on leaders. There's your leader, Sean Partners, tacks off. He's on port, but he's going to be clear across Tech 2. But Tech 2's pretty close there, Bucko. It looks like they might have closed up a little bit.
Yeah. No, this race, I suspect, I mean, I don't think the wind's going to move around quite as much from here on. It seems to me like we've now got stable south-southwest flow. The 2-sail reaches will probably determine the race, Mark. Staying upright.
I agree totally. It's all going to be about the 2-sail reach for sure.
Yep.
But that run, I'm going to look forward to watching that on the video tonight when we get into the warm and the dry. That was an extraordinary, I haven't seen that for a long time. Boats just coming from all angles, flat chat downwind, and yet in all of that mess, our leading boat spotted the fact the left was the best place to be. Pretty impressive tactical sailing as well as boat handling.
Fantastic. You can dial her up, Doro, put her on the other tack, son.
Here we go, James Doran, our leader on the water, sailed that absolutely stunning downwind leg, chose the left-hand side downwind, that was the place to be, led at the bottom mark. They are marginally leading this. Not the prettiest tack I've ever seen them do.
No, but nice and safe, mate.
But it is safe. Look at that, they get the puff just when they didn't want it as they came out, but well handled the crew. So Shaw and Partners, sponsored also by Kobe, today's race sponsor. They are leading our race in second place. Tech 2, also a Vycobi sponsored boat. So great day for the Vycobi boys. That's 1 and 2. And in third place, it's really tight between winning group, Honda Marine and Noakes Red. And we won't really be able to split those three until we see some crosses coming up. But those three boats just off Nielsen right now, you can literally throw a very small tarpaulin over all three of those boats. You wouldn't think there's 20 plus knots of breeze, going on how close the racing is between those three. And we're now about 2 to 3 minutes racing until we get to the Shark Island turning mark, and that is when they take a right-hand turn, and it's two-sail reach fest.
Wow.
Good day for two-sail reaching.
Who can two-sail reach? We're about to find out.
Well, we're about to find out, and like we said, you know, historically Honda have been the best, and we couldn't figure out why, in all honesty. You know, David Witt and I had a long conversation about it, and Witty, pretty famous in the Australian fleet for when he steered with Tommy Cloud on the main sheet and Tommy Anderson in the bow, for being the best of the Australians, and Honda went straight past them.
Just all technique, isn't it? All technique. But Michael Coxon Jr., Cocker, he used to be a superb two-sail reacher as well. Not sure Cocker's watching this broadcast somewhere wherever you are, but maybe he'll come in the boat park one day and we can talk to him about his technique, because I certainly remember him as the best on the Aussie fleet for a while. Bit of a swim for Doro there.
Bit of water skiing from Doro. Let's see what happened there. Well, you know, boat going fast, they actually almost overstood, and then into a header with less pressure.
Well, talking two-sail reaching, which we know is coming up, winning group, they might be quite tidy. This kid Sevi knows how to steer a skiff, and he's got Scott and Sam in the middle and the front. I reckon they're going to be pretty sharp at this as well.
Well, it's a test of the coordination between the guys, really, and you wouldn't expect them to be quite in the top level, considering they're only on their second gallant like that in that configuration. So we'll see.
I wouldn't mind having Sevi behind me or Scotty in front of me on a two-sail reach, mate. They'd be two great picks.
No, not at all. But let's see. Let's just see how it plays out.
Like, as you know, Bucko, like the symmetry between the sheet hand and the skipper is super important on the two-sail reach. And like, I don't know how much training you used to do with the big fella doing it, but I know we used to do plenty of two-sail reach training, and it was all about coordinating between me and the skipper.
And not a lot between Tech 2 and Shaw and Partners now, just on the water. Tech 2.
I'd say Tech 2's made a small gain here.
I think they've gone fast forward, haven't they? James Doran on Shaw and Partners trying to stay tight on the inside. Tech 2 not quite tackling clear across, but they're going to be virtually boat for boat. Just depends what happens on the little shift at the end here. Shaw and Partners now in a bit of variety, looking a little more healthy. Looks like Tech 2 will get nowhere near attacking across now. But there's going to be nothing between these two boats at the top mark. And then we're going to see what happens. Oh, Shaw and Partners here, fabulous right shift just at the end, opening up the gauge big time and fast forward. That makes things look a lot healthier for Doro and his crew.
And the one that's coming back into it really hard and fast, Mark, is the winning group.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they've done
they did get a bit of right-hander up on the, you know, they were the furthest right boat, and they did get a bit of benefit from that. But I think they'll struggle on a two-sail reach with the reef mainsail.
We'll see, there's winning group on camera. That's the boat that's made the big move on this beat. They've gone from, it looked like 5th or 6th, up to a solid 3rd. They've overtaken Noakes Red and overtaken current champions Honda Marine. They'll be happy with that. But back at the top of this course, back at the Rose Bay turning mark, in first place, about to go round in a real light spot. Unusually, they can't even three-wire. This is a weird day, isn't it? That's James Doran on Shaw and Partners, and there's Tech 2 close up behind them. We'll just get the camera around in a second to them. Just trying to manage the amount of rain that we're getting on cameras and screens and all that stuff. As you've noticed, there hasn't been a lot of drone action. This is not conditions in which we can safely fly and recapture the drone. So for now, no drones. We'll get them back to you if we can.
And just nice steady rain, Mark, isn't it? Just perfect.
Oh, lovely indeed. Very good for the vegetable garden. So there is Tech 2. There's the gap. That's what, 10, 15 seconds, not much.
Not much.
At the moment, with this shift, it's almost hard on to the next mark, isn't it? It's not.
Yeah, and just in a light spot here. So winning group is really hurting now with the reef mainsail.
They got crossed actually just by Honda Marine just then. So the Honda Marine now, winning group now having to tack back a port star with the URM. So winning group in a bit of a world of pain right now. As you said, definitely suffering from that reef, but just got the wrong side of the shift coming in there as well to compound their problems. So Honda Marine go back into third position. The winning group were in third. They're going to drop to fourth or fifth or even possibly sixth, depending what happens with Notes Red. A little bit of action yet to play out here. So there's Honda Marine going around the top mark at Shark Island for the first time in third position. Next, we're going to stay here and just get an uptake. This has just gone massively right shift here, Bucko. I think this has happened. People are struggling to lay this mark.
No, they're nearly hard on the wind to get to the mark down to the next mark down in Athol.
It's gone light. It's gone right.
Athol, right.
Next around, just by the skin, that is going to be URM winning group, keeping as cool and calm as they can. When that shift went against them, URM will go around in fourth position. So in fifth, it's winning group. And then in sixth, it's going to be Notes Red. Bit of chat from Sevi giving Marcus a bit of advice on his trim, I think, or something like that. They're always very
friendly fire.
Very supportive fleet, isn't it? How they help each other. Love it. Next around, Royal Oak. Well, guess what? Royal Oak so impressive yesterday in the practice race in the light to medium, in the 15 to 16 knot stuff, and a gnarly wet cold one. Royal Oak right in amongst it yet again. Great job from the Royal Oak team. So that is your top 7. Wow. Next back, a bit of a gap. Vet Heritage on Notes Blue, still managing to keep in this fleet for sure at the right end of it. And Smeg just been ducking behind Notes Blue. Smeg, Appliances Online and Notes Blue are the next 3 boats. That will make our top 10. And we're just going to keep a little eye on these boats now. We've got SeaTech, and then there's Yandu, Bird and Bear, Vintech, Finport went for a swim. First of the boats we saw capsizing is Finport, I think, Bucko. Starting to see them getting back into this race a little bit, but it's a long way back from a capsize at the leeward mark.
Oh yeah, they'll be lucky to get anywhere near the back of the leading bunch. Wow.
So we're just going to hammer down as fast as we can to try and catch up the leaders. It's sort of like a 2-sail reach, but really it's just a cracked up wind, isn't it, Bucko? It's not really a 2-sail reach. This is relatively easy compared to the full wide angle.
Yeah, just cracked sheets, really. Winning group had a little bit of a crack at sailing low, and then they've come back to straight line course. Shit.
Yeah, it's a long port tack, just E-sheets by probably 10 degrees, 15 low of an upwind course, so it's a little URM finding it a little tricky. A bit of a big puff came in there. Royal Oak as well, getting the big puff with Notes Red on camera there. They've had to do a big ease of the jib just to keep the boat upright. So the puffs are coming in, and when they come in, it is still challenging. Winning group handling that big puff very nicely indeed. So you're looking at this battle in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. It's URM, winning group, Notes Red and Royal Oak. All upright still, all going fast forward. Up at the front, the news is broadly the same. The gaps have opened up a little bit, but Shore Partners still our leader, followed by Tech 2, followed by Honda Marine, and about a 10 boat length gap between each of those 3 boats. Not far to the next turning mark. Shore Partners no more than a minute sailing from the bottom mark, and that's taking us back to where the start was, whatever that was, 30 minutes ago, 40 minutes ago. We're back down the bottom, and we've got another lap of the same all over again.
Yeah, Honda made quite a gain here. They're about half the distance to Tech 2. And there's their method. Jib, car, right outboard.
A lot more bang off on the Honda too.
Quite a bit of mainsail twist.
A lot more bang off, Bucko, I noticed on the Honda on the 2-sail reach and the Tech 2 in front of them.
Looking upwind, Bucko, there's no lack of breeze coming our way.
Yeah, looking upwind hurts your eyeballs. I don't know if you've noticed that.
It's fresh. Whatever the breeze is now, there's more coming.
Shore and Partners around the mark, boys.
It's going to be quite raggedy. Shore and Partners round the mark, bottom mark for the first time, and they go around in first place. They're continuing, as you can see, on port tack. Oh, Tech 2 taking a little bit of a dive in a spectator wash. That will bring Honda Marine right into them. Honda Marine hosing into the back of them right now, doing about 10 knots faster. Tech 2 under threat from Honda Marine, but Tech 2 will just get round this mark first.
Tech 2 will attack straight away here.
I agree with you. I think they'll attack right on the mark if they can just get organised. They just had a bit of a wobble. They need to steady themselves, and then they'll want to attack. Honda Marine, look how tight that's become now. There's just a boat length between them. Honda doing just what Bucko suggested. I agree with you. I'd attack them as well, if possible. Tech 2 don't want to have to follow Shore and Partners, across here.
But on the other hand, though, something to do with the dirty air off that big ferry that went past. Honda Marine in no wind for a little period here.
Isn't that weird? They're 2 wiring upwind, and then a second ago everybody had so much wind.
And now they've done the best teabag we've seen this series. Have a look now, mate.
Yeah, they're just off camera right now, but there is to the right of your shot.
And Tech 2 standing into the puff on the right.
Yeah, that is right. So coming at the camera here, this is URM, it's Marcus Ashley Jones. To the right is Honda Marine, who, hard to believe it, are only 1.5 wiring before a big right puff comes, coming their way in a second now. And in the meantime, Shore and Partners have gone up the middle of the beat. Tech 2 are only just tacking now. They're in the hard right. We'll see which strategy pays. That's our 1, 2, 3. At fourth position, URM, United Resource Management. They go around in a rock-solid fourth. Marcus will be pretty happy with that. And then after them, it's looking like Royal Oak, who played a blinder down this run as well. They have overtaken Winning Group, and they've stepped away from Notes Red. And in fifth position, it is going to be Royal Oak. Another top performance. We keep saying about Royal Oak. Great crew, great sailing. Early days yet, but we did say there could be the surprise package for a slightly surprising podium. Well, it's getting less surprising each time we see this performance from them.
Wow, and Tech 2 taking the odds to it big time. Probably up on the starboard tack lay line, in fact. Amazing. Winning Group tacking at the mark, so looking up. Doesn't look like much happening up there. Just looks like steady rain and quite steady. Wind speed down 12 to 14 now.
And looks Smeg making continued progress through this fleet. Started pretty much at the back, and they're bit by bit, they're going forward all the time. Smeg impressive yesterday in the practice race, looking impressive again today. Always on the forward march in this fleet. And it's Sean Langman in Notes Red. He's had not the best run, but he's still in it. And then it's going to be Planters Online, Brett Van Munster with Paul Montague. Monty making a guest appearance, probably a guest appearance for the whole of the series, I think.
No, I think he's only on for today.
Is he, is that right?
Pete Mackey's on for the rest of the week.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, and it's a long time. I haven't seen Monty in a skiff for how many years, Jimmy? A while.
Well, he started with Doz. What was that? 2 years ago?
Yeah, it's been a while, that's for sure. Yeah. That's the Planters Online. And then it's a vet on Notes Blue, followed by Sea-Tech Marine, the next Kiwi boat. Alex Failing, and then Vintech, John Winning on Yandu, Bird and Bear, and Finport, as we start to get into the boats that have previously had the mast in a suboptimal position. The capsizers.
And looking up the track, looks to me like Tech 2's made some pretty big inroads into Shore and Partners here. Breeze has ended up in the right, a bit like it did on the first beat. Wow, and it looks like it's a bit spiky, just watching them as they go there.
Yeah, the lower upwind is hard to spot, probably on the camera. You watch it at home, you'll find it even harder than we are with our eyeballs getting stung by the rain. But it does look like Shore and Partners still lead, enough of a lefty at the top. Maybe Tech 2 a bit closer there though, Bucko.
Yeah, and with the wind pretty volatile by the look of it.
And it just depends what happens. Out to our left, we've got Honda Marine. They're well in the hard left. The left shift comes in, well, it could go back to them, but we've only got about the boats only have another minute and a half sailing to get to the top mark. Pretty short beat this. And remember, last time round, how fast it changed in the last 30 seconds. It looked like the right was winning and the left was winning. And in the end, well, boats out of the hard left Winning Group and the hard right, which was Notes Red, in the end did equally well. Really boats in the middle slightly suffered. Here we are, up at the top mark. Your leader, Shore and Partners, Honda Marine looking pretty effective out of that left. They've got that left shift, not sure how long it'll last for. Shaw and Partners are going to lead, but I think Honda Marine have overtaken Tech 2 here.
Yeah, I think Honda Marine's up into second or thereabouts.
Bucko, do you reckon they're going to lay the finish mark next time up where they normally lay it, or do you think they're going to bring it over to where this time mark is?
Good question. Good question. We'll have to see. Maybe the L boat will get into use again. First round, Shaw and Partners.
I think they'll put the finishing line in the normal place on the other side of the island.
Yeah, just hope it doesn't play into something, you know.
Beat, but
so there's Honda Marine. That left-hand side did pay. They go around in second. That's an overtake for Honda Marine. Remember, they tacked at the bottom mark immediately, sailed through to the horribly light stuff, but they got to the left in the end. The left at the top of the beat is paying. Honda Marine go around second. Tech 2 still entirely in touch. Any one of these three boats can win this race. Can anyone apart from these three? Well, the next boat back is going to be Winning Group or Royal Oak or URM. I'm not so sure. I got a feeling our winner is out of those top three: Shaw and Partners, Honda Marine, or Tech 2. Off they all go down with those three.
And a big rip in the spinnaker on the Tech 2.
Oh, you're absolutely well spotted, Bucko. Look at that bottom of Tech 2's kite. Can you see that? Look closely under the branding. There is a hole, and there is that going to hold, Bucko?
Yeah, no, the foot tape's intact, so I think it'll hang in there. Anyway,
We'll find out soon enough.
We will find out soon enough.
They've got one run. I just got to.
There's quite a big gap back to the next boat after those top three. A decent battle here, and it's URM, Winning Group, Royal Oak, and Smeg trying to join this little fight as well. We're just going to hang here and see how these three get around this mark, and we'll just see what happens at the top. We've been saying the left seems to pay right at the end. Royal Oak giving it a go to come in from the left. They're going to port starboard with Winning Group. It looks like they're clear across. Nice job by Royal Oak. Just judging that beautifully. No foul at all. URM in the meantime have picked that lay extremely well too. Nice tactical sailing by URM, and it's going to be URM followed by Royal Oak, followed by Winning Group. But keep your eyes on Smeg. Smeg is coming at this group all the time. So in fourth position at the top mark, it is Marcus Astry-Jones on URM, in closely followed by Royal Oak, just a few boat lengths behind, and just another couple of boat lengths back to the Winning Group. And then only 5 boat lengths or less back to Smeg. Anything could happen with this group here. I'm not sure whether they're going to be able to catch up to our leading three, unless Tech 2 has a further problem, that spinnaker.
Have a look though. Tech 2's back in front of Honda Marine already, looking downwind now, guys. Sorry, not on screen, but
yeah, that's right. Look, we're just having to look a long way into the distance. We'll rattle down there in a second. Just for now, just looking at this little battle in the middle of the fleet. But as Bucko just said, it looks like Tech 2, well, they have just crossed Honda Marine. So Shaw and Partners are leading, followed by Tech 2, followed by Honda Marine. If you're Kiwi supporters, you'll want us to keep you informed on that one. That's the top three. Still a long way to go down this pretty exciting run. That was your top three, you know that. Then it's URM, it's Royal Oak, it's Winning Group, and it's Smeg. And then the next boat's back. There is a gaggle of boats, and in that gaggle is Noakes Red, Bird and Bear, Planters Online, SeaTech Marine, Noakes Blue, and Vintech. We're just back on looking at URM on screen, and just to the left of them, you're just seeing appear now. There is Winning Group, and there's Royal Oak just to leeward. There's not a lot between those three. Each of those three boats are probably a solid minute, maybe even slightly more, a minute behind our leading three. The rain's dying down a bit. What about the breeze, Bucko? What do you reckon is going to happen? We've got about 30 minutes more racing in race one of the JJs. What's going to happen?
I can't see anything happening. I think we're just going to be as it is. The direction's now fairly stable once you get away from the shoreline. So in the main part of the harbour, it seems to me like, you know, the breeze is quite stable. I don't think we're going to see any big spike or big lull, you know.
You can see how empty the harbour is, just panning across the harbour there. Of course, there's still the big ferries keep on running, but as we now look towards Watson's Bay, so we're looking off towards the east, there is Honda Marine, left of your shot, and in the middle, Shaw and Partners, our leader, not by much, but just slightly, got a marginal lead on Tech 2 off to her right. Tech 2 with the spinnaker damage that does not seem to have got any worse so far. But they won't want to rag it, will they, Bucko? A tight reach or a rag, and that could be terminal.
Yeah, but you know, the rest of the course, once they get to the bottom, is only a repeat of what we've just done. So it's essentially a sort of semi-upwind drag race, isn't it?
Yeah, they'll want to get in the right position at this bottom mark.
Here they go,
Check two
driving.
And Trent Barnabas will want to be super careful, as he has been on the drive. They'll have seen that tear, you can be sure of that, and they'll want to be super careful. They'll also be minimising the number of jibes, you'd guess, as well.
And that's a good 20-second buffer they've built up over Honda there. Amazing, isn't it?
Everyone will be ripping their spinnaker.
Now, remember, Honda Marine did go round in second position. They got that, took the left-hand side, the beat played that beautifully, plenty of upwind speed, went around the top mark in second, Tech 2 already back in front of them, as Bucko said, and Shaw and Partners and Honda Marine, that delta, that's about the same, I think, isn't it? Not much difference between those two.
No.
Tech 2 is the mover and shaker out of these three.
Pretty fresh now here. It's about, looks like about 18, maybe 20 knots of wind.
Are they remembering how they all understood this, you think, last time, Bucko?
Yeah.
Or overstood, in fact, didn't they? It was an
Well,
understand, because they all had to drop whichever way you see it. But
And I think you'll find that Shaw and Partners might in fact have done the same thing now.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Tech 2 were a little smart to be the first to jibe for what happened before. It seems to get fresh as you go down here.
Yeah, no, it builds as you come away from the land.
Builds and heads, and that's why everybody had to drop their kites at Tucson, reach into that mark. I think the same's going to happen again. So our leader on the water was Shaw and Partners. Depending on what happens with this shift, they've either given up the lead to Tech 2, or, well, maybe they'll keep it. There's not a lot between these top two boats, but to be honest, it's just one good or one bad drop will separate these three right now.
Yeah. Tech 2 look as if they've got a little bit more wind.
And just bringing you up to date with what's going on behind us, there is a very big gap back to the rest of the fleet. But Winning Group are going down the left side of the run, pretty much the same line that Tech 2 are taking, and it looks to be paying. It looks to me like Winning Group might have stepped into fourth position, but it's a battle there. Remember, it's Smeg, it's URM and Royal Oak and Winning Group, but right now Winning Group looking in decent shape for fourth spot. Let's see what happens at this bottom mark. Plenty of breeze down here, plenty of skills required. Pretty impressive boat handling by all of these three crews. Bucko, it's a hard one to pick, but I'm going to ask you, who's going to win this race?
I don't know. I think Tech 2. There you go.
Jimmy, who's it going to be? Who's your pick? Who's going to win this race?
He's going to pick
I'll pick the podium. Doz, Tech 2, Honda Marine.
You're sticking to Sean Partners. That's a hell of a pick. Good work, mate. Anyway, you're going with Sean Partners from here. Don't hit the lighthouse, fellas.
Picking on it, they're going to hit the lighthouse.
Which side are you going to go? Doro, which side are you going?
That's high risk. High risk.
That was unlucky that it happened to be, let's be honest,
Tech 2,
right where he wanted to go. But I thought he might have just gone to lure to that and kept the boat going anyway.
Wow.
Quite dangerous to go to Lewin Mark. It doesn't look like much of a structure, but it's got an
gives you a
evil
hell of a
wind shadow.
Yeah. At that speed though, he might have blasted through. But look, up front, what's happening here is Tech 2's choice to jibe first has paid. No question at all about it. They're gonna, if they don't lay it, they'll be pretty close to it. James Doran and Shaw Partner is not going to lay. He's going to have to do what he did last time, drop and two-cell reach in. I don't think he'll be able to get in front of Tech 2, but it's going to be very close between these top three when they get to the bottom mark. You can see how close Honda Marine are. It's just a matter of who's got the skills to drop the kite cleanly and neatly and keep the pace on and get down to this bottom mark.
Oh. Tech 2 looking like they've have enough room to do a jibe drop here.
Yeah, just off to the left of your picture, Tech 2 have managed to get in their own little private lift.
Oh, no, got a header.
Yeah, just as we said that, let's put the curse on them.
Into the head sea.
Honda Marine, the middle of the three. James Doran, you can't see, he's to the other side of Honda Marine, just blanketed by the big Honda Marine mainsail. And further ahead and up to win, but not by much, is Tech 2. Tech 2 go for the drop now. The first of the high tariff manoeuvres. These manoeuvres here could decide the race. Who can do this well? Tech 2 get the spinnaker away.
Oh, he's in the tide. He's prawned it.
Oh,
no, he got it out.
Big
wow.
recovery. Trent
will get that out.
Massive recovery from Trent.
No,
Honda.
Still in the water.
They were in terrible trouble. They're still in a bit of trouble. Tech 2 still trying to get the kite down. Now
Tech
it's down to
2,
Honda
big
Marine.
trouble.
Can they get the kite down neatly? Is it James Doran's going to sail right around the outside of these two as the only guy who can get the boat handling spot on? I think it is. It's Shaw and Partners. They take the wide angle right round the outside. The boat handling is up to the challenge. Fantastic skills by Shaw and Partners. Tech 2 will be deeply frustrated. They had the lead. They couldn't get the kite away cleanly enough. But to be honest, at one point, Bucko, Tech 2 look like they're going to be swimmers.
They were close to the rudder stall, which is what, sinks you in the end. Loss of control.
Exactly. So Shaw and Partners round in 1, but look at the battle for 2-3. Tech 2 and Honda Marine overlapped, going into the bottom mark for the final time. So little breeze in this weird lull. This is a strange breeze we have today, that they're just slowly displacement sailing down here, like they're both sailing in Optimus dinghies. It's like so super slow.
And a very polite discussion about buoy room or something, but Honda's done a better job here. Tech 2 jibed a bit too soon, I think.
Tech 2's got all the rights, but Honda have got all the boat speed. Honda just going around the outside here, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. This has not been a good last couple of minutes on Tech 2. It's looking awfully good as they steam in here on the best lay line, but the drop didn't go very well. The two sail didn't go very well. The rounding's gone even worse.
They've just got to compose themselves, Mark, and just get their head back in the game, and they'll be all right.
You're right. They a long way to go yet, but that was not a great little segment from Tech 2.
Yeah,
in the meantime, Shaw and Partners.
In the drop, they just got that sequence a little bit wrong, and it is a pretty high-risk manoeuvre. And as they went to do it, the wind died. And so, one of the things that drop method relies on is maintaining apparent wind over the whole boat, and the wind went away. And so, just a bunch of things weren't right, and they paid the price. But they're good enough. They can still win from here, but Shaw and Partners should be able to hold on, I would think.
You'd think, well, this is the same order that the top mark the last time round is as they sit now. So Honda Marine got overtaken downwind, but they've retaken that position just at the bottom mark rounding. We're back into a Shaw and Partners 1, Honda Marine 2, Tech 2 3. Bit of a gap to the rest of the fleet. I was about to say that Winning Group had played this run rather beautifully, but they got themselves caught a little bit light, a little bit high coming in here, and URM are going to stay ahead of them. It looks like URM are going to go around in 4th position. That's the boat off to the right of the picture right now. Winning Group are off on the right side of the screen. You can't see them right now, but you'll see them in a second. And then it's Royal Oak, and then it's Smeg. But we saw how hard these boats found the drops and the roundings. We might be about to see the same all over again here.
Nothing easy happening here. The breeze pretty squirrely in under the land. You saw that there. The wind changed on URM about 30 degrees as they commenced their jibe.
That was a shocker, wasn't it? I mean, really unlucky. They handled that pretty well. And Royal Oak looks like they're going to dial inside Winning Group. Winning Group have gone right round the outside. The shift didn't help them. They got caught high, and that's a little bit unlucky.
Yeah, Royal Oak coming here with a jibe drop. So
yeah.
URM had to jibe back.
Yeah, no, exactly.
URM jibe back, so it's URM go round in 4th. After all of that, Royal Oak go round in 5th. Winning Group with Smeg closing right up, as has Noakes Red. Sean Langman right back into this as well. Winning Group coming in with miles of pace, but they've got to find a lane. They had a nice high mode last time we saw them go upwind. They found that big right shift, but they had a lovely high mode. Can they do the same again? And then it's Smeg keeping the pressure on that next group. And then it's Noakes. So looking upwind, I can see Tech 2 have tacked off onto port in a slightly light spot. So they clearly need to do
Royal Oak
something to
just
find
the
a
left
lane.
of screen. The Royal Oak just capsized in the wind.
It's gone light. It's a tea bag, capsize. Who'd have thought that would happen? Look how light it's gone. Winning Group only one wiring. Smega coming up, fully pressured up. Sorry, Noakes Red fully pressured up. It's very weird, this bottom arc, isn't it, Bucko? 1 minute it's howling gale, the next minute there's not a breath.
Yeah, a bit of catabatic over the hill, mate. Pretty amazing. Look at this puff here. The appliances in it. Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot going on at this bottom arc. We're going to get ourselves out of the way. FinTech just about to go round. Bird and Bear appliances online, with FinPort coming in with insider rights on pretty much all of them. And then SeaTech Marine followed by Noakes Blue. There's every chance there might be more swims happening back at that bottom mark as they all approach down speed at weird angles. It's a troubling bottom mark. It's been really hard to get around this mark cleanly. But just to put a bit of shape back, I'll bring you up to date with where we're at. The leader still Shaw and Partner, followed by Honda Marine, who carry on a starboard tack. Tech 2 tacked off on port to get a bit of right-hand leverage, and they're now settled up on the hip of those leading two boats. But clearly in third, a lot of work to do in order to get back to the front. And then the next boat back is URM, followed by Winning Group, followed by Noakes Red, and then it's Smeg. That is about your top 7 or 8, but it still looks like the winner's going to come from the 3 boats that are clear ahead. Can Tech 2 come back from here, Bucko? What do you reckon?
Yeah, they can. And I think they've done the right thing on us beat here.
We're looking at them on camera now. That's Tech 2 in the middle of your screen. Off to the left of your screen, you can just about see. You can't quite roll in a second. There's the camera changing angle for you. There's boats 1 and 2 off the left. You can see the leverage. Tech 2 give themselves a shot with a bit of right-hand leverage, and they may be remembering it worked for Winning Group last time up here.
That's right. They've remembered that, and they've got to do a bit less tacking, and the guys on the leeward edge do suffer a little bit at Nielsen Park if they go all the way in there. So you just don't know. But anyway, look, Mark, I think for these guys, for the day, for the first heat, if you stop the race right now, these first 3 boats will all be happy. Yeah?
100%.
Yeah.
You're right. Of course, you take it. You get talk about a counter. In a day like today, anything could happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Every chance of a tea bag capsize or
They've
gear
all-
damage or whatever. But
They've all had a narrow escape or 2.
they have. Bullets have been dodged by all parties.
Wow.
But Jimmy, your pick's still looking good. You're still looking like James Doran is going to win this race. He's holding it together, isn't he? He's fending off the pressure of the 2 pre-regatta favourites, Tech 2 and Honda Marine, and he's looking their equal.
Yeah, look, I just hope he can hang on. Like he's giving himself obviously the best shot, but just looking down there on screen at the moment, Honda looks like they've got a bit higher line, maybe a little bit better pace down there. But
You know, Honda looks like they're burning them off a little bit. But you see what's happening now also, Jimmy. Shaw Partners into the little land-affected header first.
Yeah.
So we've got an interesting port starboard coming up in a minute or so's time. Shaw Partners is going to be tacking out of that headland, coming across the Honda Marine, and we might start to see some degree of a match race develop here. If Honda can get across them, we might then see that they've got enough of a gap ahead of Tech 2 that they can just concentrate on just keeping one other boat behind them. I can't believe how good our screen is handling the rain so far. I'm hoping that for what you're watching at home, if you're watching us live, is clear, and I hope the audio is alright. It's hard for us to know quite how it's going. The conditions on the water, by the way, are awful if you're a Tech head, because it's very wet indeed. But the racing's fascinating, super high quality. Privileged to watch this kind of quality of sailing. And the boats and the sailors really well and truly up to the task on this 20-knot day. Now we're closed up, we can see the advantage. Honda Marine are not just lifted off Shaw Partners, they've got enough fast forward as well. They're probably bow forward, and they are upwind by 5+ boat lengths. That's a pretty impressive upwind performance, Bucko, because Honda Marine went round the last mark on the transom of Shaw Partners.
Yeah, no, they crawled out of the dirty air, and Shaw Partners hasn't been able to fend them off. But the race is a long way from over, I would suggest.
Oh, yeah, a lot of boat handling to go. If it was a straight line speed test, well, Honda Marine have ticked that box. And no question at all, they're set up on starboard tack for sure. Sometimes it's different. Tack to tack in these conditions is the best of the best.
Shaw Partners, they're just looking at them, just look a little bit bound up compared to Honda. Like they're...
Oh, well, they've just been trying to squeeze up along the rocks there, mate, I think. They need to get out of there.
Yeah, they're about to stop with a thud if they attack very soon. And Honda Marine, very happy just to tack in line. Makes the tactics easy for them. That's how close our 2 leaders are. They're on screen. They are, what is now, that 5 boat length delta. That's gone down to about 2.5 boat lengths. Nothing between these 2 boats. Shaw Partners doing nicely just at the end of that run into the rocks. But a close cover from Honda Marine, as you would expect. We've just got a couple of more.
I think Shaw Partners will go back, yep.
Yeah, Shaw Partners shaking it up. A little bit of a boat handling test as well. Mini match race going on. And they can do 2 or 3 of those before they give away too much ground to allow Tech 2 back into the fight. They probably neither of them particularly want that to happen. But for now, they both like the look of the left-hand side, I think, of this beat.
Well, I mean, Shaw Partners probably now just going to put the hammer down and try and just breathe around the bow of Honda. They know that Honda can sort of only sail high and slow, it seems. You know, that's kind of their mode, whereas Shaw Partners seems to be able to go fast forward. Pretty good.
Yeah, it's an interesting point, Buckers. We're about to see if Honda Marine have got a fast and low mode, because tactically that's what they'd want right now if they'd got it. But of course, if that's not their setup, they're probably best just to sell their own BMG.
I think Honda will be confident they can hold offshore and partners on the whatever the two sail or the fetch is down to the last bottom mark, you know.
But that last beat,
Yeah.
it's all up for grabs. That last beat has been so shifty, so hard to read, and there's lulls, there's puffs. Both of them will be thinking now about that last beat.
Yeah, but I think it'll only be a fetch. You know, I think the finishing line will be back in a traditional place. So, you know, there's
Good
sort of
point.
600 yards left or 500 yards left of where the windward mark was.
So it's just a starboard tack for the
just
whole
a
way to the
starboard
finish.
tack,
Yeah, which would suit Honda Marine just fine. But
Yeah.
if the committee do put it off to the right-hand side, which they might do, then it's back to that really tricky beat.
That's right.
So James Doran thinking about what his options are here. Well, it's still got plenty to play for, isn't it? There's a long way to go here. And Jimmy, boat handling test for both of these two yet. Boat speed test. It's all on, isn't it? We've got a smorgasbord to watch.
Oh, absolutely, got a smorgasbord to watch. You know, you got the best of the business, the Honda Marine, as far as crew work goes, and you know, handling goes, and you know, is Doz up to the test. And I think he is. It's hard, like, you know, as Bucko and you were saying before, Mark, with the rain in the eyes that we're copping. I've had to put my reading glasses on so I can duck and weave between the boats driving. They don't have that luxury. So it's really hard to read what the breeze is doing when it's raining like this. Like, you can see the darker patches, obviously that's where the wind is, but you don't know whether it's a lift or a knock coming at you. And it's really hard for them to try and pick it, and they're just sailing the best they can. Like, I remember finishing a heat of the Nationals with Doz one day, and his eyes were that bloodshot he couldn't see, and we had to talk him through up, down, where he was going, because he couldn't see a thing.
That's in a fishing boat though, Jimmy.
That was in a 16-foot skiff, but nonetheless, Bucko, you're just jealous you've never been able to sail on. It was.
As you said, Jimmy, it's that kind of day, isn't it? It's just hard to read. Also, an unusual wind direction for the for the Kiwis is all unusual. That's in Sydney Harbour, but for the Aussies, an unusual wind direction for them, which just takes away a bit of local advantage they might have felt they had. We rarely see this wind direction. This is more of a winter direction.
Well, Honda's actually doing all right for roughly 6 hours of sailing this season, aren't they?
Yes, Sir Ellen, you have more questions to answer. Yes, we'll see. Anyway, for now, Honda Marine finding a nice little private right-hander and a bit of puff, and just stretching away a little bit. And behind these two, well, it's still Tech 2. Tech 2 is about 45 seconds per minute behind them. That tack off on port early on didn't seem to pay for them. And of course, they had that very disappointing drop at the bottom mark, and the rounding all went a little bit pear-shaped for them. They still haven't quite managed to recover from that, but it's not over for them. They can still yet figure at the front of this race. Two tricky legs yet to come. And look how light it is at the top. We saw this last time, Bucker, didn't we? We were up here, it went very light and very shifty at this top mark, doing the same again.
Yeah, a little bit of land effect, and I think the rain just being around long enough now, the breeze is just getting suppressed in a general sense. So Sherwin Partners must be on the lay line now, surely.
I think they'd go. I think they like a look of a bit of leverage, but they've got to make sure they don't overstand this. They're going to give away too much room to Honda Marine, but let's see what happens on the next shift.
Well, you remember last time up here, Bucko, with Shore and Partners, they were really tight on the mark and on the reef marker off Shark Island, so they obviously don't want to do that again, and Honda's just sailed into the lee of the fast ferry that's gone past.
It was like a little tea bag followed by a nasty wave wash, and they're absolutely dead in the water. Sean Partners playing a blinder. Did Doro know what was going on there? Did he get lucky? I think Honda Marine are going to be still all right, but they just lost half of their lead. They've given up. Well, Doro sails into the same hole as well now.
No, that ferry makes a big hole in the wind when it goes upwind. It makes a huge hole, you know. Anyway,
Honda got a tack here. It's a double tack manoeuvre to get round. Sean Partner might lay. If they do, these two are going to close right up again. And Tech 2 also, the next boat back. They were about a minute back. They're now more like 30 to 40 seconds. This is getting closer all the time. The Honda Marine will be clear across, but they've got to tack again. And if Shaw and Partners can get round this mark and round, of course, the jetty on Shark Island, I'm not sure they're going to be able to do that. That would certainly help their cause.
Honda just going to clamp on them pretty effectively, but that won't bother Shaw and Partners actually too much. So they're in striking distance, obviously, and let's just see. Is there any spiky wind coming? We're looking at upwind just looks grayer. There is a bit more wind coming actually on the front of the next rain squall. It's just been steadily raining and looking upwind, there's just a bit harder rain and a bit more wind coming. Somebody turn the thermostat back up, please.
Put the electric blanket on.
I don't think, Buck, I don't think you pay the gas bill, do you? That's the problem.
Bloody terrible.
Yeah, so at that top mark, effectively this is the top mark? It was the Ritchie mark, isn't it, Shark Island? Anyway, for the last time, it's Honda Marine in the lead, with about a lead of about 15-20 seconds over Shaw and Partners. And then behind them, we haven't managed to show you much of Tech 2. That's because they've been a little separated, and we're trying not to point the camera into the rain too often. But Tech 2, not too far back. 40 seconds, less than a minute behind Shaw and Partners is the next boat back, and then there's a decent gap, and it's URM and SMEG and Winning Group. And I'm just trying to look over the top of the next boat. Can't quite see the next one, but it probably will be Notes Red. And this is not even are they cracked at all here, Bucko? Like just the tiny bit on the main sheet? Not much,
Yeah,
is it?
what we'd call pressing on the jib upwind.
Yeah, it does feel like it, doesn't it? It just feels like a little bow press on the jib. They've put the track out a little bit wide, but you'd be struggling to call this a reach.
It ain't a reach, brother. A fetch.
Fetch. That's a good old-fashioned word.
That is a pretty old-fashioned fella.
Yeah, that's the way.
You would have fetched a lot back in your day, Bucko, with the Admiral.
Yeah. Wow.
Not a lot. I think James Doran can even think there's no tactical options here. He's just got to sail as fast as he can in a straight line and hope Honda Marine makes some kind of an error.
Yeah.
But it's a two-sailor of a sort down to the bottom mark. They turn that corner, then it's a beat or a fetch, depending on where the top mark is. We've got our eyes open at the moment to try and find it. We'll let you know as soon as we get a confirmation about where the finish has been put.
See if we can find the grey committee boat in the grey cloud.
Yeah, exactly, that's the problem. I can't see it. I'm looking where it normally is, and I don't see it.
It's there.
Yet. I think it's going to be.
No?
Oh, no, I think it. I don't see it in its normal position. In which case, maybe it is up with where the top mark was positioned. We'll have to see. Let's not speculate too much for now. The breeze is increasing. Shaw Partners just accelerating away from us. Honda Marine's accelerating away from them as the next bit of puff comes on down towards us. So Tech 2 continue in third position. Oh, nice bit of puff there from Shaw Partners, really reacted the puffs well. And behind Tech 2, there is that gap I mentioned you before. We can't use the drone because of the rain, just to remind you, that's why we're not giving you quite the same spread of shots as we normally give you. But hopefully you have a good idea of what's going on. So behind Tech 2 in fourth position, well, it's Winning Group and URM just ahead of Winning Group, Notes Red and SMEG, that's the group. And it looks like Finport might be getting into that mix as well, recovering from that capsize of a couple of laps ago. But up front, it's still the same deal. Honda in 1, Shaw and Partners in 2, and Tech 2 in third. No, just Bucko, just noticing Doro looking over his shoulder a lot at the next puff, isn't he? He's getting some...
He's also trying to figure out where the finishing line is, just like us.
That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing. It's a bit of a mystery.
Yep.
This is the time we need the drone up, isn't it? Send the drone up as our spotter. Where is the finish line? It's a tricky one, and I'm not sure if Honda Marine have got any more idea than we've got. It's not down at the next mark, that's for sure.
I've just located the finish boat.
Yes, well done.
Up near where the top mark
Jimmy
was.
Berry, great set of eyes. So the finish is up where the top mark has been the first two times. It's not in this traditional double bay position, which would have made this a rather dull starboard tack one beat. It is a proper tricky beat to the finish here, so take nothing for granted. These positions look reasonably set in 1 and 2. You're seeing the gap between 1 and 2, but it's a shifty old beat. But we can expect Honda Marine to be in match racing mode for the next 10 minutes.
Honda Marine going around the mark there, Mark.
Yeah, there they go. Impressive performance from Honda Marine. They've been there or thereabouts all race. Great start, middle of the line. They got, if you might remember, they caught the wrong side of the shift at the top mark first time, and then they got right back into the downwind with a great performance. And ever since then, they've been in the top 3 relentlessly. And when it's mattered, when the errors have come, first from Tech 2 and then from Shaw and Partners, they've been there to take full advantage in the way that champion boats always seem to do. Our current reigning champion, Honda Marine, leading race 1. One more leg to go. And in second place, great performance from James Doran and Shaw and Partners. He's too been there or thereabouts, so of course he throws a tack in just to ask a question of Honda Marine. And James Doran, lovely job, performance from him so far in this first race. And the next boat round is going to be Tech 2. You're going to get a good idea where Tech 2 are. We've had to put a camera on. There you go. Here's Tech 2 coming in. They're still in this race as well. The lead 2 boats spend too much time watching each other. Well, Tech 2 might yet take advantage. And off in the distance, look in the far distance, the rest of those sails, that's how far back 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th are. A solid minute and a half sailing, maybe even more than that. But Tech 2 coming up behind us. They'll be looking to find their lane out of here. It's a lot more starboard than port in this bucko, but do you reckon the port ley line's going to be the way to approach this like last time?
I know, mate. I mean, looking at the sky, just even grey nastiness, so no sign of any great amount of pressure, and I just think that maybe the left side will pay, just because there's a little bit more wind as you're further away from the tall building. So that Honda Marine just being pretty safe and conservative here, and I don't think they've got any real worries. And you can see they're working on changing gear down to the soft, low into the rig range settings. Shaw and Partners in quite a bit more wind than right at this moment.
Yeah, in Honda Marine, I mean, they've got enough lead. They're not going to panic, the champion boat, but they definitely have got less breeze. They're too worrying, barely too worrying. In the meantime, Shaw and Partners are flying upwind, full 3 stringing, obviously, in good pressure. So there's definitely been a little bit of a closing up of these 2 boats. I know David McDermott won't be getting himself too stressed, but he's got to keep half an eye on what Shaw and Partners are up to, and he knows that in the meantime, Tech 2 are the next boat back. Any errors from our leading 2, Tech 2 will take advantage and say thank you very much. But for now, the left is paying again. Shaw Partners, you can see on screen, what you're seeing there is a true reflection. They've gone fast forward, they're in a bit of a left phase, and they're not going to cross Honda Marine, that's for sure, but they are a lot closer. There it is. There's the best camera shot you're going to get. Perfect angle. Nice positioning from Jimmy, our driver, and nice camera angle too. Chip's choosing the shots that matter as usual. And on a day when it's grey and it's wet, it's misty, it's still a fascinating yacht race. Funnily enough, the top boats seem to get to the front, don't they? Bucko, you were saying before, it doesn't almost matter how gnarly or how weird the conditions are. We're expected to see our top 4 or 5 in the front, and it's happened again.
Yeah, and like we said, we reckon, you know, the first 3 boats would all be happy with the result, more or less. I mean, you know, the guys, you know, the Tech 2 guys would be unhappy with the way they gave the lead back, but that'll just make them, I think, more motivated for the rest of the regatta.
That's gone left again, the Bucko, isn't it? Look, Shaw and Partners looking actually almost threatening now. They're definitely closing up.
No, Honda in some right-hander there.
Yeah, they got a little bit of a righty, you're right, but yeah, actually it's coming back to them now. Just for a while they looked a little bit vulnerable, but they've come good. And Jimmy Gurry, your L boat, your lead boat, he's back in it again, isn't he? He's got a...
Yeah, it's unusual. They normally, like if they are going to have a lead flag, they normally do it for the whole course or just to the first mark only. Right. So this is unusual. They're doing it up to the last.
Yeah, just off camera, I was just saying to Jimmy, is spotting the fact that he's the only person who can see the finish. We're right up by the finish ourselves now, and that rib with the L flag has been leading the fleet up here just in case they weren't sure where the finish had been positioned. So James Doran on Shaw and Partners finally gets that tack in off the island, and he's done well up here, not enough to get across to Honda Marine, but he's definitely closed it up. And I think David McDermott, with all their experience, he'll still be just slightly relieved to know that he's made a comfortable cross.
Yeah.
He's within 30 seconds of the finish. An unusual race, an unusual finish position, unusual to have the L flag in use.
Unusual for it to rain the whole race too.
Yeah, unusual for us to feel quite so cold in Sydney in March. But one thing that's not that unusual, Honda Marine about to cross the line in first position, reigning champions, starting off the series with full intent. Sue Ellen's got some questions to answer from Jimmy Bury, but no doubt the Kiwis starting to defend their title in the way that they would hope to do so. A win by Honda Marine, not a commanding win, not a dominant win, but a win all the same. Second position, Shaw and Partners, great job by James Doran. He's been one of the top Aussie boats for a while, but certainly not the top boat in the last few months, but he's just stamping a little bit of authority on the fleet himself with a rock-solid second place. And as he crosses the line, Shaw and Partners, sponsored also by Kobe, today's race sponsor, takes us very impressive second position.
So that was 40-second delta.
40 seconds. The next boat back is going to be Tech 2, who for a while were in third, for a while were in second, for a while they were in first, and then it all went a little bit wrong at the bottom mark. But I think, as you said before, Bucko, he'll take a third. Well, he's got no choice, is he? He's taking a third, like it or not, but still a decent result today.
That's right, a counter. Call a counter.
Well, they're definitely all a keeper, aren't they? All the scores, these boys.
A counter, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, these three will be all happy enough. And there's nothing we've seen so far that suggests that those three, for instance, couldn't have finished in a completely different order. There's not been any one boat with too much boat speed or anything dominating. Jimmy?
Well, it was all down that bottom mark. That last time down at Oblis, there, where Tech 2 had it, and they just prawn the spinnaker. That cost them the lead.
So, as you said, a boat handling thing. Tech 2 crossed the line in third position, race 1. Nice job, Jack McCartney, sponsored by Tech 2 and by Kobe. And a big gap before we look back. And at the moment, in the distance, it looks like Winning Group have done the best out of the rest of them. They did have the lead. They were ahead of URM for a lot of that previous two legs. URM, were ahead of Winning Group, but Winning Group have got ahead of URM as far as we can see. And the battle for fourth is between Winning Group with the big reef in the mainsail, URM, Noakes Red, is it Noakes Red? Smeg. And we'll see which one of those boats prevail.
And then, if Winning Group get fourth, it'll be a pretty good performance.
I agree. I think it's been a decent job, a decent sell by them. Remember, a relatively new combination, super experienced crew. They all know each other very well, but they haven't sailed that much together. And today has been all, Jimmy, as you were saying, it's been a boat handling day, hasn't it? So for Winning Group to put together this threesome, haven't sailed for a while, decent job from them.
Yeah, like it was a boat handling day, and I think just that reef just cost them a little bit. I think they could have got away without it, as we've seen from the leaders. It's going to be close here for this final place between Winning Group and Smeg, who we just went past. So it'll be interesting.
So Winning Group get the tack in, get into that favoured left-hand side, get into that port tack, and URM will be following them in. Smeg, in the meantime, for the next boat back. I think Winning Group are going to be in good shape against Smeg, but it's going to be very close between URM and Smeg.
Yeah.
So we've had our first three. Well, this is the battle for fourth, fifth, and sixth. URM, you can see to your left, there's Clark Island in front of them, and our finish line is no more than 200 metres up to the right-hand side of your shot.
No, I think Smeg's going to beat URM.
I think they are as well. We'll look at them in a second. URM about to tack, and off to the right there is Winning Group, who put a little cover on Smeg.
Just a little puff coming from the right end. That's advantage Smeg there.
So URM, there's the shots we're looking for, and we get a harbour bridge as well, just so you can see exactly where we are. We're up near Rushcutters Bay. Anyone who's ever been to the CYC, we're up in that part of Sydney, is where the finish line is, an unusual place to finish a race. But it's working out just fine, but it does make it shifty. We're close to the CBD, close to all these buildings, lots of cloud cover. That's why the breeze is moving around quite so much. These boats, look how close they are. 3 boats in the battle for 4, 5 and 6, just the odd boat length between them. And it does look, as you said, Bucko, Winning Group have done it with the reef.
Yeah.
Sniggled their way through. Good work. That's Sevi Jarvin back on the helm. And it's Scott Pavage in the middle and Sammy Newton on the bow.
I mean, Mark, if you look at the rig now, they've gone to the absolute low range settings. It's well powered up, so they've done a good job of going through the gears. Finport also coming to join the party.
Don't forget, Bucko, they had the swim down the bottom.
Yeah, no.
After
What could have been?
capsize. That's a great recovery, isn't it, from Keegan York and his team on Finport. Anyway, crossing the line in 4th position. There is Winning Group with the highly reefed mainsail. That does look odd, doesn't it? And when the breeze is light like this, it looks very strange indeed. But Winning Group get away with it. Well done, Winning Group. They'll be pleased with that result. And then it's Smeg fast recovering from a terrible first beat. Bit by bit, they've got back into it. In the end, couldn't quite get to the podium, but 5th place, I think they'll take that on board, Smeg. And then URM, unfortunately, they're going to have to do another tack to cross the line. They've been up and in amongst the leaders all race URM, but it's just not quite come together at the end. So I suspect Marcus will feel just a little bit fed up with the end result, but he's had a pretty good race today. And there's Keegan looking a little happier to have his boat upright.
There's not a smile to be
That's a pretty
seen on
good
that boat,
effort.
Mark.
And Gussie Williams is in the bow, so that's a good job from them to come back from
It's a great result.
a swim.
And a drop down there, wet spinnakers. I think they were fully inverted at one point, so it was a pretty bad capsize. And there goes Finport crossing the line, and there's a decent gap, another of these big gaps. The next group we're going to be looking at crossing the line is going to be Bird and Bear and Vintech, and Appliances online as well. And somehow or other, the most remarkable thing today, I think, Bucko and James, is that our tech has kept working. Your glasses aren't working that very well, Jimmy, I have to say. You're covered in rain. Amazing enough. Look, we're going to wrap this one up. Thank you for staying with us. To our audience, we have another full week and a day of great skiff racing coming our way. And, of course, we will be here tomorrow for another race in a forecast 15 to 20 knots of breeze. Just before we close up, well, one comment from you, Bucko. What's your standout moment or standout thought from today?
My standout thought for the day is that Chits and Jono have kept the equipment dry and running.
Yep, agree with that one. We'll tip our caps if they weren't so full of water to them for that. Good job, our tech guys. Jimmy, any thoughts from today?
Find a heater as soon as possible.
Yeah, there you go. We're all whingers on this boat, aren't we? Get a bit of cold weather. But anyway, thank you for watching at home, whether you've watched live, recorded, wherever you are in the world. That was race 1 of the 2020 JJ. A long way to go. Still 8 more races to go. Only 1 discard. We got the race of today. Well done, the race committee as well. Top performance from all our lead skiffs. See you tomorrow. We'll be live from 2 o'clock. Race start 2:45 from Sydney Harbour. From myself, Mark Healy, from Jimmy Bury, from Bucko and the tech team on board. Good day from Sydney Harbour.